significant targets outside POK because, there is this sort of equivalence in the Pakistani mind that, in the 1960s war, they only attacked in Kashmir and India declared the war because we attacked across the international border. Yes. Somehow they've tried to reinforce this narrative that Kashmir actions should be restricted to Kashmir and should not go outside of Kashmir. Now, this is ludicrous. We have broken that. We had for a long time accepted that principle. We have broken that with Balakot, and this time it's been very, very significantly reinforced just because of the scale and nature of the attacks that have taken place outside of Pakistan-Occupied Kashmir.
No, but also the fact that Punjab has been hit. I mean, Murid is barely 30 kilometers from Lahore. No. And you know this. I mean, hitting Punjab is like hitting at the heart of Pakistan.
No, it's not just hitting at the heart of Pakistan, it's hitting at the heart of the Pakistan army. We all know what headquarters are there in Murid exactly. So, it's also saying that, we just hit about a kilometer.
If he can hit you, if he can hit these terror headquarters, we can hit the air bases and we can hit the military installations, and we have chosen not to. That's the message the Indian Armed Forces are giving. Bahawalpur has an air base.
Yeah, it's actually much more than that because you're hitting the political power center of both the army and the Sharif family.
Yeah,
that is a humiliation that they can't live down.
So 10 a.m. there is going to be a press briefing. So here on CNN News 18, it's continuous coverage. We are live with the coverage, with the updates. 10 a.m. is the official media briefing at the National Media Center. We've just got confirmation. National Media Center, that's where there will be a press briefing on Operation Sindoor.
Do we know who's going to be leading that?
We don't know who's going to come to brief.
If you go back to the surgical strikes, at that time I think it was the head of the Northern Command.
Yeah.
Then I think the DGMO.
General Huda, I think.
Yeah, I think General Huda had come out first.
Yeah, but it's been sent out by the army. It's been sent out by the army PRO and PRO army. That's where they are the ones who sent out. So we'll see if it's a military briefing or not.
It likely would be. Yeah.
And this time around, General Kulkarni, it said it's a collective armed forces. It's not said that it was only the Air Force that did it or the army that did it or the Navy that did it. It's a collective Air Force, connected armed forces strike. My question is also, if the Pakistanis decide to respond, they may immediately respond or they may respond in a different manner, in a non-state act manner also. So how do we measure our calibration? Is this message very clear that any act of terror on our soil now will be a punitive cost on Pakistanis? Secondly, if you escalate, we will go escalate further.
Pakistan will retaliate, but Pakistan knows the after effect of retaliation, and that is what is most important. Pakistan realizes it, that attack on the Indian soil, because Indians don't have any terrorist camp. Since we have no terrorist camp, the attack is going to be in the Indian soil, whereas we have only hit the terrorist target. So Pakistan knows what India is doing. Now should Pakistan retaliate in a haphazard manner, knowing fully well, let's see what happens. They are going, will do. But at this point of time, I don't think, because Pakistan knows fully well that India is prepared. For the last 12, 13 days, India was preparing for it. India has now retaliated, and any further, I would say, retaliation by Pakistan might lead to Pakistan getting into trouble. Because Balochistan ex-chief minister has been talking rather ill about Pakistan and very clearly stated that look, and he has also told that don't forget you've had 93,000 PWs in 71.
But that was in 71, sir. After that, the messaging has not cost them. The messaging from the Indian response or the Bharatiya response has not cost them. It's not cost Pakistan acreage, nor has it cost them personnel, loss of face. Captain Sharma, agree, disagree, and is this messaging enough, or has this got to be harder?
Just Zakar, this is just the starting. Oh, sorry, Anand.
Yeah.
This is just the starting of the whole thing, which was waiting for something like this to happen, and it has happened at the right time, as decided by all the three chiefs and the top leadership of the nation. Very precise attacks, very potent attacks, and let's see now what is the next step of Pakistan. As General Kulkarni is saying, there will be some retaliation, but we are prepared for it. It is a multi-pronged attack. Everybody is at standby. So there is nothing to worry, because anything now coming out from there will have
But
a
Captain,
kind of...
when you say that there is going to be a retaliation, I'm sure people in the Indian military establishment have done a bit of a game theoretical analysis.
Rahul, every action of theirs has already been, I'm very sure about it, it has been simulated, and we know what is our reaction to it. So just don't worry about it. Every step of the escalation ladder has been well thought out, and who will address it? Which part of the Indian Armed Forces will address it? In what manner and with what kind of might? All this has been done.
They don't deter Abhijit Iyer Mitra and Captain Sharma and General Kulkarni. They don't deter from attacking civilians. If you look at the pounding along the LOC, it shows that they are capable of the most vile act. And if we look at Pahalgam, they are okay with that. That was also celebrated somewhere. So if they end up doing something foolhardy like that, that they target a civilian establishment or a military establishment, then the graded response, how does it change? And does that give us a toehold or a reason to perhaps charge them acreage? I hope you understand what I'm saying.
We are now going towards the routes from where the launch pads are. You are talking about they will attack on the civilian areas. They can do whatever, foolish activities they want to do. But here our focus is very clear. We are going, as the Prime Minister said, we will go to the root of the problem. So now we are attacking from where the artillery is kept, or where the missile launching pads are kept, and where all this activity was taking, it was starting from there. It was finally looking for a target across the border this side. But now when our forces have got all the targets and coordinates in position, and we have decided that we are ready, and the kind of attack which has been carried out within a matter of seconds and minutes from various directions, this is going to baffle them. This is going to, really...
One other factor which I think is important in whatever response Pakistan may choose is in 2 days' time, on Friday, they have this all-important meeting with the IMF in Washington, where I think it's $1 billion tranche of the $7.5 billion that was approved as the bailout package. That is due. So if they choose to attack or retaliate in the next 48 hours, that will have down the line implications as well for Pakistan. But I do want to say a couple of things. I don't think the Pakistan Army, if it chooses to retaliate, and I think the messaging from the Indian Armed Forces, even from the very first statement that was put out by the ADGPI, was that, look, we're not targeting military installations, this is non-escalatory in nature, and we're only targeting the terror infrastructure. So basically a signaling has gone to the Pakistan military that, look, we're not hitting your military installations and we do not want you to escalate. Of course, Pakistan and the Pakistan Army will have to decide what they have to and how they have to respond. The second thing, and the important thing, is the conversations, the first set of conversations that have happened are between the National Security Advisor of India and his counterpart, the acting counterpart now, Mr. Rubio, who's also the Secretary of State. And immediately after that, Mr. Rubio has spoken to the NSA of Pakistan, the NSA who also happens to be the DGISI. And he has clearly said, we don't wish both parties to escalate. We want a quick resolution to this. So really, the stakes are very, very high for Pakistan. If they choose to respond to this.
I agree with you. Obviously, this is something that the Pakistani leadership will have to balance. But I want to bring in Iyer Mitra on this. There will be expectations now, and we're already seeing a large number of videos coming out of Pakistan where people are asking, "Tum kya so rahe the?" And they were asking the Pakistani army. So there's a meltdown happening in Pakistan. The Pakistani army wants to save face. There are a couple of things now that I want to bring to your attention. Number one, given that the political imperatives, can Munir, who has talked himself into, jihadi A plus, can he now sit quiet? One. Two, how much leverage does Washington actually have on Pakistan, given the fact that Pakistan has moved very closely and quickly into the Chinese arc, and the Chinese actually haven't responded. And this I find quite strange. Something is happening in their backyard, Chinese are completely silent.
So to answer the first part of the question, remember, we've had reports since Pahalgam happened. We've had a lot of indications that there is discontent among the corps commanders. Some of the things Pakistani broadcasters and major personalities have been saying against Asim Munir, they wouldn't have the guts to say that unless they had the protection of some corps commander happening out there.
Right.
The most common refrain I'm hearing right now is, where has Asim Munir been for the last 10 days? he was actively promoting that ludicrous speech of his on Twitter, where everybody was saying Asim Munir hits it out of the park, whatnot, etc., etc. Where has he been? He's been completely missing in action, no photos of him or anything. And again, we see there is a very systematic attempt from Pakistani Twitter to ask those questions. How far it will go, I don't know. How far will the corps commanders take it, I don't know. To answer the second part of your question, Rahul, sorry, if you can just remind me again.
Yes,
China,
the second
China.
part is the China angle, and the lack of, or perhaps, I don't know, Washington influence.
This is actually, something we've seen for the last 3 years. Chinese support to Pakistan. First, China doesn't do allies. America does allies. China does free radicals. They use North Korea to bog down East Asia. They use Laos, even though it doesn't have nuclear weapons or any military really. They use Laos to, sow discontent within ASEAN. They use Pakistan to bog down India. These are kind of, malignant free radicals they like. Now, what ends up happening out here is the deal is always based on the fact that you can actually hold down the regional competitor. Pakistan used to get very good deals as long as it was running a true two-track insurgency, one in Punjab, one in Kashmir. Once the Punjab insurgency ended, it could still get discounts claiming a Kashmir insurgency. Now we know the Kashmir insurgency is over. And if you notice, for the last 9 years, Rahul, since I've been appearing on your programs, you remember I've been talking about Chinese internal documents, actually local publications, which keep saying, how Pakistan's military and feudal system has gone out of its way to sabotage the Pakistan-China economic corridor. They were still willing to tolerate it. They were still willing to tolerate Uyghur terrorists being found in Pakistani terror camps and things like that. What they are not willing to tolerate now is all the same things happening when Pakistan is not bringing any insurgency on the table that's able to keep India off balance. That is the main reason China is not really being as supportive, because Pakistan is no longer an asset. As for Washington, Washington can wield influence. The question is, do they want to wield influence? It's the same way we can wield a lot of influence on Russia. We really want to use that influence for something like Ukraine, which is totally peripheral to us.
But has Bharat been very smart about it again this time? Because 10:22 p.m. last evening, President Trump confirms that India has removed all tariffs on US goods. So there has been a big offtake there. So there is a whole of government strategic maneuver with key parties who are integral to whatever Bharat was planning, and that's happened.
No, but I just want to add to the US question. I mean, look, Trump, I think to be fair to him, has been very, very clear. He is an anti-war president. He has never, in fact, he's said very proudly on the campaign trail that in his first term, not a single war started. And he also made it a big campaign agenda point that he wants to end the Russia-Ukraine war. He said famously he'll end it in 24 hours and so on, but that hasn't happened. He also wants to put an end to the Israel-Gaza war as well. But here's the thing. The incentive or the leverage that Washington had 5 or 6 years ago, let's say for example when Balakot happened, because Washington was very much invested in Afghanistan, very much invested in this region, they had leverage over Pakistan. Today that is significantly decreased. So it really boils down to what the Pakistani military
Trump's
leadership
point of view
wants to do.
Even in Trump point 1, Trump 1.2, Trump was very clear about what he thought about Pakistan. And the billions of dollars that had been given by the US to Pakistan. So clearly those monies were not coming. They only have 40% of operational capacity of their fleet, which is all US airplanes. A lot of their guns and machinery they need servicing, and that all spare parts have to come from the US. So that's not happening. So there are different ways that Pakistani response, military response can be choked by a friendly ally or a friendly nation. And in this case the US.
February, Trump had actually lifted the sanctions and it said that we are going to give you parts, etc., as well as monies to maintain your F-16s, as long as you don't use them against India.
Correct. So the condition itself, see, now the Saudis have parked $9 billion in their reserves, but you can't touch that money.
I mean, did you see the president's statement?
Yeah, the Americans
he's talking about some historic fight that goes back 2,000 years and centuries.
He's talked about the time of invasion and all of that. They're clearly not involved. And here they said, see, Bangladesh and Pakistan, he's left it to Modi to handle. So if the Americans are given that. But I'm just going to go back to what Abhijit Iyer Mitra very interestingly pointed out has immediately happened post these strikes by Bharat in Pakistan. All of Punjab has gone into a blackout area.
It's
in the
an
Pak-occupied Punjab. The Pak region, the Punjab region in Pakistan has been blanked out in terms of communication services, airspace band, sab kuch band. Why is it? And there is only visuals, details that have come from Bahawalpur and also Muridke. The rest of the regions, what has happened is been totally blacked out. Even in Pakistani media, they don't have enough of information except for the claims made by the DG ISPR as far as their press conference was concerned. Now, would you attach reason behind that there is a deliberate attempt to try and blank out because the damage is so heavy? And if those details were to surface, it will be far more embarrassing for the Pakistanis because these are all the terror hideouts, the terror tanzeems, and perhaps there is a huge loss.
So this is a very interesting visual. By the way, I'd heard this visual as I was coming in tonight, this morning. And these are individuals sitting in a car and they're having a chat and they're talking some...
And there you go, right in front of them on the camera.
Some lurid stuff and suddenly they say, oh beta, ye kya ho gaya? Oh boy.
We can hear the audio.
Yeah, the audio is a bit risky. It's a bit risky.
Cool. That's what they said. Cool and the video catch ho gayi. So, and then they don't even know what's happened. But look at that precise moment when the strike has happened. They don't even realize what's happened, but there is a huge strike and there is an explosion and this is somewhere in Bahawalpur. See, they are saying video catch ho gayi.
I mean, the thing is actually, I think it's now dawning on Pakistan because I'm seeing a lot of reactions on Pakistani social media handles where they're abusing their leadership, and that's the reason I asked that question. Because they're all saying, "Tum to soye hoye ho." When are you going to wake up?
This pressure can
India has walked straight into Punjab.
Can push them into doing something quite foolhardy. Push them into doing something very foolhardy. I just want to go back and try and let's revisit where all they have targeted, and there is some very specific information that we've got. I'm just going to read that out as we're getting it. Why these regions have been targeted, these locations have been targeted. Let's try and understand this, viewers. So there are 9 locations in all, starting with Muzaffarabad. This is in PoK. Now in Muzaffarabad, there are 2 locations that have been targeted. In Muzaffarabad, the 2 locations that have been targeted is the Shawai Nala. If I can write this, let me just do this. So it is the Shawai Nala. So this is Shawai Nala here in Muzaffarabad. And there is also the Red Fort area. So that is Markaz Sayyidina Bilal. So Markaz Bilal is another area which has been targeted. Markaz Bilal. So, which the Pakistani media or Pakistani ISI claimed that it is the Bilal Mosque. No, this is the Markaz Bilal, this region, which are 2 terror training camps in Muzaffarabad that have been targeted. Let's understand Markaz-e-Taiba. So, Zaka was saying this is the Lashkar's headquarters. So, Markaz-Taiba. So, this is what LET's headquarters. This has been targeted. This is the LET HQ.
Wow.
So this has been targeted in Muridke very clearly. This is the Muridke one. Bahawalpur, there are two locations. So Bahawalpur, there is Markaz Subhanallah. So this is Markaz Subhanallah is again the Jaish HQ. So this is JEM HQ. Totally destroyed. So this has been targeted, and then there is Markaz and then in there is in Chakamru, this is this area called Serjal. So in Serjal, there is actually a health center which is a training camp. So that's been targeted. Then in Sialkot, this is Sialkot. In Sialkot, you have Mehmoon Joya. Now Mehmoon Joya is the HM, Hizbul Mujahideen headquarters. So you're saying Mehmoon Joya,
Jaish and
Hizbul, all three have been targeted. Then you have in Bhimbar. Now this Bhimbar Gali, remember we always talked about this Bhimbar Gali and this area.
Yeah.
So here in Bhimbar, you have this area which is called Markaz Ahle Hadith.
Oh, so
so Markaz Ahle Hadith, again Jaish.
Yes.
So Markaz Ahle Hadith is again, so you have the JEM being targeted, JEM operations here. Then there is Markaz Abbas in Kotli. So this is Markaz Abbas in Kotli.
So you're saying
So
that the
all of these
backbone
are terror camps. Now
of
this
the jihadi infrastructure
Yeah.
has been hit out of the water today.
correct. And here this one, the Muzaffarabad Shahi Nalla camp. Now this Shahi Nalla camp, this is where this guy Ajmal Kasab had trained.
I see.
Ajmal Kasab had trained here. This camp in Muzaffarabad. He hails from Muridke and he trained in Muzaffarabad. So there is also the Markaz Rahil Sharif. So there are two locations here in Kotli. There is one more. This is Markaz Rahil. This is Markaz Rahil Shahid. This is also in Kotli. So this is how these locations have been targeted. All have significance. There is the Jaish operations in Bahawalpur and in Kotli, Gulpur also. This is one of these is being clubbed with Kotli, but this one of these camps is in Gulpur. Chakamru comes
Just
with the
30
Sherjar.
kilometers from Lahore.
All these camps.
Muridke, 30 kilometers from
Muridke,
Lahore,
30 kilometers from Lahore.
which is really the citadel of Punjab.
Absolutely.
Pakistan, Punjab, that
It
is.
is.
I mean, the last time there was a direct hit in Punjab was
Yes.
actually in the 1965 war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is something that hasn't happened in the
This-
last 50
It
years.
has. It has
If
more.
you drive from
Yeah.
Lahore downwards towards Faisalabad and then you go down,
Yeah.
in this region is where Muridke comes.
That's right.
And when we passed, when in my previous avatar as a sports journalist, I've gone to Pakistan. And when we passed that, we were actually pointed out and said, "Ye Lashkar ka headquarter hai." So at that time in 2007, they used to openly flaunt that this is the Lashkar headquarters. Bahawalpur, where these two camps are, 5 kilometers from here is the airbase.
But just think of this.
So just 5
Anand,
kilometers from here is
I
the
have to
Bahawalpur
ask you this
airbase.
question. Just think of this. Today, Hafiz Saeed is sitting in his little launch pad, having his chai this morning, and he knows that he's in the crosshair too. Imagine the psychological impact of the Dawood Ibrahim, who has been probably eating his biscuit this morning, will also be saying that, okay, I'm probably next. I hope we behave ourselves. This is what the message is. Isn't
My
it?
point is, frankly, I'm moving across here, but
Yeah.
Zaka and Rahul, as we go across back to our guests, Hafiz Saeed and Dawood Ibrahim are no longer the operational heads. They are just figureheads. What we need as a nation and our armed forces need to target are the operational commanders. Hafiz's brother Talha
degrade
Saeed,
that, but
Rauf Asghar, some of the others who we have named here on the channel, these are the people who are present at these training camps who are radicalizing minds and training.
No, but
Along with them are these
discounting.
mullahs who are so radicalized.
No,
those
but even
who are the
Osama
ones who are
bin Laden-
brainwashing
but
them.
hang on,
Ji.
even Osama bin Laden, by 2010, 2011, 2010, had become a completely sort of, disconnected, discombobulated figure from the
Zawahiri
Al-Qaeda.
was leading the Al-Qaeda at that
But the symbolism
Of course.
of nailing him is very, very important. So let's not forget
Look,
that.
I think these are very, very targeted precision strikes.
Yeah.
The message is very clear from the Indian military establishment and the political establishment. The three terrorist organizations that have been a thorn in India's flesh for the last 30 years, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Hizbul Mujahideen, their headquarters has today been hit. And I think it's an unambiguous message from the Indian establishment that these are the three organizations that have really been responsible for a majority, more than 90% of the terror acts that have happened in India, whether it's in Kashmir, whether it's in mainland India from 26/11 to Uri, Pulwama, and the latest, of course, in Pahalgam. But at the same time, if you were to look at the statement put out by every official in the
Yes.
government of India, from the army, PRO to the Ministry of Defence spokesperson, it's very clear three things. Number one, this is non-escalatory in nature. India does not wish to pursue the escalation ladder if Pakistan does not retaliate. Number two, all of these hits happen from inside Indian territory. The LOC was not crossed, the international border was not crossed. And the third and most important thing, these were simply terror launch pads or terror infrastructure. No military installation has been
And
hit,
this
and that's a
puts
signal.
Pakistan in a huge bind.
Yes.
Because look, we've targeted legitimate targets that are non-state actors, and I'm not using Indian government language, I'm using Pakistani government language. They say these are non-state actors, they're out of our control, etc., etc. Where does Pakistan hit?
Well, look,
I mean, it can't.
if
If it hits the military establishment in India, that's a declaration of war.
Yeah.
I'm talking very legalistically
Yeah.
speaking now.
Yeah.
It's a declaration of war. Defense Minister, I think the Defense Minister has put out a statement, or maybe he's speaking to all the three chiefs, perhaps congratulating them. on the success of this. Big breaking news coming in. Rajnath Singh, who had said just a few days ago that our action will be what you desire, that is the public of India desires. Today, speaking to all the three service chiefs, he has also been extremely involved in all the planning that has gone on. I'm not just saying it because, obviously that would be because he is the defense minister, but in the past we have seen a large number of people, Anand, saying that everything is dictated by one part of the establishment and not the others, etc. But this time,
and the 10 a.m. presser, Rahul, is going to be forces and the MEA.
There you go.
So it's a whole of government approach that we are seeing. Yes. Payal Mehta is with us. Yes, Payal. So Rajnath Singh ji has spoken to the three service chiefs. The press conference will be a combined press conference with all the forces and also the MEA together. So a whole of government approach on Operation Sindoor is being witnessed.
It has been a whole of government approach from day one, hasn't it, Anand? The way in which the Prime Minister met the leadership, first at the CCS, that's where the ball really started rolling, after which his individual meeting with service chiefs, his meeting with all of them, with Rajnath Singh, their message coming in clear and loud that, you decide which is the place you want to target, what is the time you want to really target. And I'm currently at the official residence of the Prime Minister. All action from 10 o'clock onwards will be moving here, because 11 o'clock you'll have the all-important CCS meeting which will take place, followed by the Union Cabinet, and of course it's going to be a very, very confident cabinet, especially the alliance partners who are in the Modi government for the first time, and they would have seen his decisive leadership from very, very close quarters now. So obviously all the development will be here, but yes, a whole of government approach. What is India's story behind the strikes that we've really done? The fact that we're only targeting.
Has anybody?
Just one very quick question. In the run-up to this particular event this morning, the Prime Minister has never named Pakistan. Now that was obviously a deliberate, very clearly deliberate choice of words that he has used in the last 14 days. Can you build on that a little bit, because it assumes significance? Because whatever the Pakistanis are going to respond to now will, from India's point of view, be, if they're going to strike on India in any capacity, they will be breaking international law, because the Prime Minister was extremely measured.
Well, that's typical Narendra Modi style, Rahul. In the past also, when he's spoken about China, he has never named China, he's never named Pakistan in any of his, comments as well. In fact, last night when he was speaking at a private channel summit, even then he said, हमारा पानी किसी और देश में जाता था, अब हमारा पानी सिर्फ हमारे देश में रहेगा और हमारे लोगों के लिए रहेगा. He has chosen not to name these enemy nations at all, and I don't remember, in the distinct memory that I have covered his government for the last decade plus, has he ever named any nation, which also includes the likes of China. It's a typical Narendra Modi style of telling people where they really belong, to give them the kind of respect that in terms of where they really belong. That's been Modi's trademark style, if I'm not wrong.
Well, are we expecting any of the netas to come before the CCS? Any reaction, any movement at the PMO right now at 7 LKM?
Well, it's lesser than 7 o'clock right now. No movement as such that we can witness over outside the local and marked residence. But the whole of government will be here at 11 o'clock, Anand. Right. All the cabinet ministers will be here as well. The CCS leaders will be there. We have to just wait and see. Right. If the service chiefs are called to the CCS meeting to brief the Prime Minister in person. Those visuals are going to be extremely significant. Those are going to be extremely important. Those are going to be extremely satisfactory for the people of the country to see what our service chiefs have really been able to achieve, what our forces have been able to achieve.
And very important, Anand, there is a PIB fact check that has been put out.
That has already been.
If I can just hold this up to the camera, and it says the claim that Indian brigade headquarters have been attacked by Pakistan is a complete fake news. So a large number of Pakistani handles have been putting out this kind of rot since the morning. In fact, since about 2 in the morning, they've been talking about how an Indian aircraft was downed, a fighter aircraft. It turned out to be some very old incident, and there have been other claims by Pakistan about attacks in Srinagar, etc., etc. All of this is fake news. So please make sure, and I'm appealing to all our fellow Indian citizens, our patriotic Indians, please make sure that you don't fall to this Pakistani propaganda. This is
we should
absolute
have more-
Pakistani propaganda, unmitigated propaganda.
We should have more of this because there are
Yes.
three pieces of fake news that have already been called out. One is that Pakistan is claiming 15 locations hit inside Bharat by missiles as retaliatory strikes by Pakistan. It's fake news. A Rafale jet or 2 Rafales were brought down, again fake news. Srinagar Air Base has been struck, again fake news. And right now, like the PIB has also confirmed this, brigade headquarters of the Indian Army again destroyed or attacked or bombed by the Pakistani forces, again fake news.
In fact, the news
multiple
was
pieces.
spread by Pakistan Information Minister Ataullah Tarar.
They are actually masters at misinformation. So
Disinformation, actually.
Disinformation.
It's not just
misin-
misinformation,
Yeah.
it's disinformation.
Disinformation. Let's just quickly go to Akash. Akash, the Raksha Mantri has spoken with the 3 service chiefs.
Yes, Anand, we are learning that 3 service chiefs have briefed Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh about the operation as to how it was conducted and, what was the kind of success that they have received. In fact, Raksha Mantri Singh was briefed about the sort of, platforms, in fact, all of what was used. And in fact, the assessment that they are going to come up with at 10 a.m. today in the press conference, Raksha Mantri has been briefed about it. And also, Anand, as far as you were discussing about the brigade headquarters.
Yeah.
I have checked all the brigade headquarters, and I have got several inputs, credible inputs. None of the brigade headquarters has been attacked by Pakistan, and it is confirmed all the structures of Indian Army are safe. All the structures of Indian Air Force here in Jammu and Kashmir are safe, Anand.
Right. So no military establishments, installments have been affected or touched by the Pakistani military or the Pakistani forces, nor have anything material been done, damaged been done to any of our resources or arsenal. So clearly all fake news, fake propaganda in perhaps a certain level of retaliation because they were caught napping. Aman Sharma now joining us with how it was the Pakistanis were caught napping with Operation Sindoor. Many would have thought कि mock drills आज हो रहा है तो 7 तारीख की रात या 8 तारीख को कुछ करेंगे, and it all happened on 6 तारीख की रात and 7th morning, and that's where the Pakistanis got caught unawares, Aman. And the significance of this operation being called Operation Sindoor and it being approved at the highest level.
Absolutely, Anand. The Pakistanis have been completely blindsided, and this again speaks of the Modi-led government acting with complete precision, stealth, and the element of surprise. This whole announcement about the mock drill, which was to happen today, it came, yesterday. In fact, the day before night, and entire media was full of mock drill stories. Yesterday. And it seems that Pakistan also assumed that India is preparing for this mock drill, which will happen today, and the strike will only happen later. One of their ambassadors, in fact, former ambassador Abdul Basit, had tweeted that maybe this will happen after the Russia Victory Day parade. India surprising everybody, and now it's very, very clear that India had always planned today morning to be the time, because PM Modi had given the operational freedom to all the 3 forces, and when the 3 chiefs had met the PM separately last week, we are told now by reliable sources that the options were already put on the table, that how these strikes are going to be done. So completely blindsiding Pakistan. Its defenses were low, it was casual, it thought India is going to come only after 2-3 days, but no, India has struck when it wanted to strike. Also, this information that we're getting, that Operation Sindoor, this particular name was approved at the top level. There is a lot of emotional messaging also behind this name, because the Prime Minister and the other senior ministers in the government were very, very clear that this was a deliberate, targeted attack. The women victims who were left, unharmed in a way, but they were told that, go and tell Modi. It was a thing that, Sindoor of Hindu women had been wiped off by these terrorists, by specifically targeting the men, the husbands, the fathers. This is what India, and that's why the code name of the operation was named like that. There was a message behind that as well, Anand. But India taking Pakistan completely by surprise, and some voices in Pakistan, Anand, are now asking the Pakistan government that how could this happen, and how could this strike happen? What were our defenses doing? Pakistan had made tall claims of mobilizing forces on its borders in the last 10 days, but when the strike ultimately happened, India has acted with complete stealth and caught Pakistan completely unawares. Anand.
Important points that you're making, and I appreciate the facts that you are putting out here, because yes, there is a deep symbolism behind the name of the Operation Sindoor. But I just wanted to ask you, because we've just had statements come out of Ajay Rai, a person who was taunting, a Congress leader who was taunting our forces for not doing very much, and the Modi government also for sort of sitting on their hands. That's what he implied. Now he's come out to say, I congratulate the Modi government, I congratulate our forces, etc., etc. How many of the opposition leaders have actually spoken up? Because they were bitter critics of the Prime Minister, even putting out posters like Gab. I don't want to make this political, but it's an interesting thing that I wanted to understand from you, since you follow politics so very closely.
Well, Rahul, yes, if there was one egg on the face moment, it is Ajay Rai's moment. Just 2 days back, he was mocking our Air Force, mocking our Rafale jets, saying that there is still Nimbu Mirchi on those jets, and when are we going to use them against Pakistan? Well, Mr. Modi has shown, such operations, Rahul, are tactical operations, as I said, with stealth and the element of surprise. Sometimes the planning takes time. After Uri, we had acted within 11 days. After Pulwama, we acted on Balakot within 12 days. Now we've struck within 14 days. So within a fortnight, this big strike has happened, and we have to also understand that the nature of this strike, the scale of this strike is much larger than Uri and Kot.
Yeah.
You look at how multiple 9 targets, the headquarters of Jaish and LET being targeted. Imagine, had anybody thought that such a big strike can be carried out in Balakot? We had only bombed one camp of Jaish. Still there was a massive casualty there, but now you are actually
my mind
the
goes back
headquarters.
to Chandrababu Naidu's statement. If you remember,
Yes.
just a few days back, when the Prime Minister went south, and he said, I saw the pain in the Prime Minister's eyes, and you have been mentioning that the Prime Minister was monitoring this all night, this operation, perhaps has not slept. It was a very long day for him, wasn't it, yesterday, in any case?
Yes, absolutely, Rahul. In fact, Prime Minister had a series of meetings yesterday also. That's what I'm told. He was at a media event till about 10 in the night yesterday. And, after that, shortly after midnight, we see this operation happening. I think the Prime Minister, was very clearly monitoring this operation, and he was tracking every part of Pahalgam since day one. From the point he was in Jeddah, when this operation happened, he immediately called up Home Minister Amit Shah to rush to
Aman,
Jammu.
I have to interrupt you there, because it's also deja vu. 2019 Rising Bharat and Balakot happens, and again it was a private media event that Prime Minister addressed, and the night then Pakistan was punished. Aishanya Dwivedi is with us. Aishanya ji, namaste. ऑपरेशन सिंदूर पर आप क्या कहेंगी? 9 टारगेट्स पाकिस्तान के अंदर जो टेरर हब्स हैं उसको ध्वस्त किया है भारतीय सेना ने।
सर, मैंने ये न्यूज जब से देखी है, मैं तब से यही बोल रही हूँ कि आज मोदी जी ने और जितने भी लोग इस ऑपरेशन में इन्वॉल्व हैं, हमारे आर्म फोर्सेस ने आज कहीं ना कहीं उन 26 लोगों की फैमिलीज को दिखा दिया है कि हम आपका बदला पर्सनल लेवल पे, हम आपके लिए खड़े होके बदला लेके वापस आए।
इसको ऑपरेशन सिंदूर नाम दिया गया है शन्या जी।
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर नाम देके उन्होंने कहीं ना कहीं बहुत पर्सनल लेवल पे हमें टच किया है कि हाँ, आपका सिंदूर गया था, और हम जितनी 26 औरतें हैं उन सब का सिंदूर नाम देके उन्होंने यही प्रूव किया है कि दिस इज वेरी पर्सनल, एंड हम एक एक लोगों की डेथ पर्सनल लेवल पे लेके, पर्सनल तरीके से लेके उन पर अटैक करेंगे।
आपके मन में थोड़ा सा इम्पेशंस या डाउट था कि इतना समय क्यों ले रहे हैं, कब जवाब देंगे, कब बदला लेंगे, या फिर आप वेट कर रही थी कि जब होगा तब होगा, पर होगा जरूर?
आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है।
मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूं ऐश्वर्या जी, क्या आप थोड़ा व्याकुल हो रही थी कि बदला प्रॉमिस किया था, कब करेंगे, ये ऑपरेशन कब होगा, या फिर आपको भरोसा था कि इट इज गोइंग टू हैपन?
Can you repeat the question? I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now, Aishwarya ji? Can you hear me now?
I can hear. Yeah, I can hear.
Did you have any doubts about retribution, बदला, और या ये ऑपरेशन, या आप थोड़ा सा व्याकुल हो रही थी, वही गेटिंग इम्पेशेंट कि क्यों कुछ नहीं कर रही है सरकार?
मैंने ये कई बार इंटरव्यू में बोला था कि मुझे विश्वास है कि कुछ तो होगा, मुझे विश्वास है कि कुछ तो करेंगे। वो शायद मैं इम्पेशेंट अगर थोड़ी बहुत हो रही थी, वो इस रीजन से क्योंकि मुझे डायरेक्टली ऑब्वियसली इतना बड़ा ऑपरेशन है, वो मुझे क्यों बताएंगे, और मुझे इस चीज का इल्म नहीं था कि ये 14 दिन में 15 दिन में ये ऑपरेशन होगा, ऐसा कुछ होगा, तो इसलिए थोड़ा बहुत इम्पेशेंट हम सब हो रहे थे। और मोदी जी ने सबको शांत कर दिया है, हम सबको उन्होंने दिखा दिया है कि हम एक एक का बदला लेके दिखाया है उन्होंने। I'm really thankful to him. I'm really thankful to all the armed forces.
What the loss that you have suffered, the family has suffered, can never be replaced. But somewhere, do you feel there is some solace
I think she's. I think the line has gone.
Well, I'm just going to check if she's still there. But I think that sentiment, Zaka, that's coming from all the families is that calling it Operation Sindoor, the Prime Minister, the government, the forces have made it personal. They've said, when you've lost someone, it's as good as us losing someone and we losing someone, and that's how we're going to seek retribution.
I think
somewhere that messaging is very clear. Very
Let's
strong.
also play out the map, and this is the first pictures that we're getting of the damage. This was in the early morning hours, about 3 a.m. or so. This is in Bahawalpur, is what I've been told. So the biggest hit, the two hits that have happened in one location, that's in Bahawalpur, which of course is the seminary and the big headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Masood Azhar and gang, as it were. And then the second big hit was in Muridke, the Markaz-e-Taiba, which is the big seminary of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. So these are the two terrorist organizations, and of course there is the Hizbul Mujahideen's seminary that's been attacked as well. So the three terror organizations that have wreaked havoc here in India for the last 20-30 years, their headquarters, their fountainhead has been hit. But at the same time, and I want to keep going back to this,
right.
India has put out a very responsible statement, whether it's the ADGPR, whether it is the Ministry of Defense spokesperson, that look, India is not escalating this, no military targets have been hit, and the idea was that this is avenging what happened in Pahalgam. Now, if Pakistan so chooses to respond, then of course India will also be forced to go up the escalation ladder. But here are the moving pieces that are happening now. In case you're just joining us at 7 a.m., 4 minutes past 7 a.m. on the 7th of May this morning, this Wednesday morning, India has carried out Operation Sindoor at 9 different locations in Pakistan-Occupied Kashmir as well as in Pakistani Punjab. 2 major headquarters, one in Bahawalpur, that of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, and 2 in Muridke, the headquarters of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Both have been pummeled to the ground. And India has clearly said that it's non-escalatory in nature, the LOC has not been crossed, and most importantly, this was in response to what happened in Pahalgam. Let's go across to some more.
We got more
news.
news coming through as far as Pakistan is concerned. Some details that are coming out on Operation Sindoor. Pakistan has grounded all its aircraft after Operation Sindoor. After Operation Sindoor, Pakistan seems to be in complete panic and disarray. They are having closed door meetings on what they should do. But right now they have grounded all their aircraft. There are no aircraft that are in the air as far as the Pakistanis are concerned. Punjab is actually, the Pak province of Punjab is on a blackout. There is a communications blackout altogether. There is no information coming through. Only pictures of Muridke and Bahawalpur are out. The rest of the 7-8 targets that have also been struck by the Bharatiya Armed Forces, there is no information that's coming through at all except for claims. And
what this also means, if they're grounding their aircraft, it also means that if any retaliation happens, it's not going to be via air, at least not in the immediate term. Akash is there with us. So Akash, what's the import of this breaking news that we're running, that Pakistan in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor has grounded all its fighter jets? We know at the same time there is stepped up activity, ceasefire violations along the LOC. There is now heavy machine gun fire. There is artillery fire that is happening. So for the moment, the risk of any retaliatory airstrikes, are we ruling that out, at least for the moment? Akash, what's your reading?
Right. So, Zaka, initially we were learning that they had scrambled their fighter jets, after the strike. And in fact, there were some sort of claims that were coming from Pakistan. But Manoj Gupta is now suggesting that they have grounded all their aircraft. In fact, after the sort of, developments where there were claims that they have downed several aircraft of India. Now, it is possible that they want to send a message that they are not going to escalate it further because they are now back in their bases
or is it a smoke screen? Is it a smoke screen? Is it a smoke screen? Are the Indian authorities, are the Indian forces going to lower their guard because Pakistan has grounded its aircraft, or will they look at it as a smoke screen? Because that's a big possibility.
No, of course not, Anand. Of course not. We are not going to lower our guard because of the fact that air defense system is always active. We have got S-400 very much active, catering to the western borders and also the northern borders. And as far as the Indian forces are concerned, so, before the operation, in fact, it was planned that after operation how they are going to deal with the situation. So of course not, they are not going to let their preparations go in vain, and of course they are waiting for some sort of action that Pakistan may take now. But yes, they have grounded their aircraft, especially after scrambling their jets and after claiming that they have downed several fighter aircraft of Indian Air Force.
Well, all news, of course, coming from Pakistan and being put out by Pakistani sources. We need to add caveats here because who knows? Who knows what they're trying to quote and pitch.
Frankly, would not want to believe a single word coming out even from the Pakistan official medium or from their media, because it's all a lot of it is bluster and the other part is all blatant lies. Let's just go across to Anshul joining us from right outside Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh's residence. The Raksha Mantri has spoken to the 3 service chiefs. Is he still at his residence? What's going to happen next in the next 1 or 2 hours? What is scheduled? And will he be there in that press briefing? Is it expected?
So it is unlikely at this point in time that Rajnath Singh himself will be a part of that press briefing, but I'll just move out of the frame and try and show you the visuals over here. There is absolute calm outside the residence of Rajnath Singh at this point in time. He has spoken to all the three heads of our armed forces, and in fact has congratulated them on this successful operation. In fact, the first tweet that came in from Rajnath Singh, in which Operation Sindoor was mentioned, he said Jai Hind, and this one Jai Hind was something that the entire country was waiting for. So definitely in the next few hours we can expect that Rajnath Singh would leave from here and then eventually could go ahead and carry on with his meetings, but he will not be a part of the press conference that will happen. And that will happen around 10
There is a
10
CCS plan. General Pannu, General Shukla are joining us, but Zaka, when the netas in the previous in the build-up last 12 to 14 days, when the leaders of the country, including the Prime Minister, the Raksha Mantri, were saying that the way you want retribution, we will get it for you. Yeah. It was not just to calm the nerves or to calm down, temper down the expectations. They actually were playing the bluff right out in the open.
No, and I want to go back to what the Prime Minister said in Bihar. He said 2 things. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth, and he said there will be unimaginable consequences. I don't think...
Punishment.
Yeah, unimaginable punishment. For what they carried out. The fact that 9 different locations have been hit simultaneously, it'll go down in the annals of military history as a huge, not just a success, but there will be, people will now start talking about pre-Operation Sindoor and post-Operation Sindoor. We've not undertaken this kind of precision strikes from this side of the LOC at 9 different locations.
This is a very important point that Zaka has made, because I'll tell you one thing, Pakistan is a nuclear weapons power, so there's a threshold. You see, every time the Pakistani establishment has turned around and said, hey, don't you dare, we're a nuclear weapon power. This will go down also as a textbook example, a template globally of how to actually second guess, outflank, outsmart a nuclear weapon power. So all global militaries, especially the top ones, America, Russia, this is not insignificant. This is not Israel going into, the Gaza Strip and taking on Hamas, or even taking on, the Iranians. This is a massive strike against a nuclear power that is quite high up in the echelons.
Agree, but
of military professionalism,
Pakistan's
so to
nuclear
speak,
bluster
and capacity
has already been called out, not just with
that's
Balakot,
true,
but many nations today, and in a position where Pakistan is, if it even touches or moves, takes 3 steps towards that nuclear button, it may be called a rogue state, etc. There is the world around which is going to smother it. The world around is going to turn out against it. It needs at least 1 or 2 people in its corner. The Chinese and the Turks will not be in their corner at all.
No, but the Cold War was between nuclear powers, right, fighting proxy battles.
But he makes a fantastic point, Zaka, that Operation Sindoor, pre-Operation Sindoor, post-Operation Sindoor, the Indian Armed Forces and Bharat's whole of government approach, there will be a different outlook altogether. The worldview will perhaps change, General Pannu.
Yes, the way we have taken action against Pakistan, it is in response to a terror attack which came with much announcement and forewarning by the Pakistan Army Chief. The Pakistan Army Chief has been the DG ISI, of course, who was sacked after Balakot. He has also been the DG MI. He was also trained in a madrasa in his initial days in schooling. His father was an imam in a mosque. So during the time when Islamization of Pakistan was happening, during General Ziaul Haq's tenure, he is the one who got recruited under that scheme that you must get some radicals into the Pakistan army. Now he's risen to the point that he's become the chief. Now, over a period of time, if you've been hearing the statements from various ministers and generals, that they have always maintained that terrorists are a strategic asset of Pakistan. Over a period of time, it is not only that they have stated, they have also proved that they are the global hub of terrorism. They were also involved in the bombing of World Trade Center. If you really ask me, 9/11, it is the ISI's funding which had caused concern in USA, and it is on 2nd of May 2001 that we saw in 2nd of May 2011 that we saw in Abbottabad the Americans went and killed the global terrorist who was being harbored by Pakistan. So many times Pakistan has been proven as a rogue state, as a terrorist state. Now the next escalation happens is that they go in for a big psychological disinformation campaign by the ISPR. And the third thing is that they will start saber-rattling about the nuclear weapon. The Indian nuclear doctrine says that no first use, but it does not mean that India is not prepared for a nuclear strike. No nation ever strikes the way India has done now without preparing for war. While we are saying that there would be no escalation, we are saying that we have not hit any military cantonment or installation. These are only terrorist camps. But it does not mean that India is not prepared fully for all the escalations in one go.
In fact, General Saab, there is talk that this particular military operation, you also had the downing of a Pakistani JF-17. Now, in what scenario could this have taken place, if at all true? This is what we're learning. Unofficially, all of this will be confirmed.
I think we should caveat that.
We should wait till if it is indeed true, under what circumstance would that have happened?
See, the point is that, again, going back to the Pahalgam episode, before that, the Pakistan army has been preparing, and they actually wanted this kind of a scenario where Pakistan army, which was actually being attacked over a period of time. Even I'm told that Imran Khan has been attacked inside the jail. Imran Khan was the only politician who had challenged the army. The supporters of Imran Khan and largely population of Pakistan has been so fed up of the army that they started attacking the military cantonments. They also, while Pakistan can keep talking about their own internal problems of terrorism and all that, but Pakistan Awam is absolutely fed up of the Pakistan military. So only to save himself from the wrath of the politicians who are in jail and their supporters who are outside and prevent them from attacking the military cantonments, the military had to declare an emergency like this. How would the Pakistan army chief prevent or protect his own self, because he is going to retire very soon? And I think this is what he wanted, that he would now escalate. If you really go back to Kargil war happened when Nawaz Sharif had no idea what was going on. So today it is again the same party, Nawaz Sharif and Shahbaz Sharif.
And they had no idea what is going on.
No, they have no idea, or even if they have an idea, they have parrots of the Pakistan army.
But you would also admit that they are deliberately trying to cover up the damage that's been inflicted upon them, because they have put out a total blackout in the Pak province of Punjab, and also there is very little information that's being allowed out of POK and POJK. Now we have to wait and see, because the damage inflicted is severe. Brigadier Datta, would you concur with Zaka that post Operation Sindoor, the worldview about Bharat's capability and its entire political position itself will change, because we now have said not only are we capable, but we also have the political will to go ahead deep inside enemy territory and destroy terror bases and terror camps, and we'll call out bluff from the enemy and bluster from the enemy.
Anand, I would like to compliment you for the kind of reporting which is being done. And secondly, yes, the very important and the underlying statement which you made is that the political will India has really gone about in a very systematic and a very, in a 360-degree manner while tackling this terror attack. Initially we garnered the international support, then we struck some economic sanctions, and now it is a kinetic operation which has been, these strikes which have been, heavily inflicted on Pakistan. If you see that the kind of free hand which has been given to the army, and I wish it continues, because the real impact is when you strike back within 24 hours. The moment the TRF had taken the responsibility, we should have retaliated. Because having served in that area, I know there are so many other places like Bagh, Domel, Chakoti, and various other camps which are there. The markers, the centers which have been attacked, like markers Taiba, markers Subhanallah, which can train about 600 cadres in Bahawalpur, LET markers. So this is really a death blow to the terrorism in Pakistan. It is also a tight slap on the Pakistan army that you have been sponsoring this. And General Parvez Musharraf used to always say that ye hamare jabaz hain. It is there on the YouTube. He has been always considered them.
Look at the number of markazes or centers that have been targeted. Out of the 9 targets, 7 of them are markazes or centers. There is Markaz Subhanallah, Markaz Taiba and Murid ke Markaz Subhanallah, Bahawalpur Jaish, Murid ke Lashkar. Then Markaz Ahle Hadith in Bhimbar, Barnala. There is Markaz Abbas in Kotli, Markaz Rail Shahid in Kotli, and there is Markaz Sayyidna Bilal in Muzaffarabad. So out of the 9 targets, 7 of them are markazes or centers of big centers of training
or training grounds for breeding these terrorists.
Each has more than 600 to 700 capacity.
To Payal Mehta, who's joining us from 7LKM, and Pallavi Ghosh is joining us from the National Media Center, where there will be a joint briefing, I'm told, Pallavi, of both officials from the Defence Forces as well as officials from the Ministry of External Affairs. Do we know who these people are going to be who will brief and give us an idea of the contours of Operation Sindoor?
Well, yes, absolutely. But most importantly, something which the PIB and the government sources are telling us very categorically is that please just go by the official version. There's going to be a lot of fake news which is going to be peddled by Pakistan, and lots of PIB fact-check units have now been activated consistently that all the real news goes out. So that's the most important thing, and I think the focus of the Operation Sindoor press conference is going to be precisely that. What we are being told, of course, is that both the Army and the Air Force chiefs are actually going to be there at the press conference, awaiting that final official word right over here at the National Media Center. 10 a.m. is where all the nitty-gritty and details. The reason why it's been kept at 10 a.m. also, what we have been told, Saka, and the reason is that these are security concerns. These are security details. We also wanted to ensure that all those involved in Operation Sindoor are back to base safely and there is no casualty at all. That is exactly what government sources have been telling us consistently. So at 10 a.m. when the press conference begins right over here at the NMC, all the details are going to be given about the planning which went behind it, but none of this is going to compromise our security concerns. But apart from that, how the Operation Sindoor was worked out, but most importantly, the kind of fake news which Pakistan is now going to be peddling and already has been peddling will be busted very, very categorically.
In fact, I just want to bring our viewers some information. Pakistan's Defence Minister Khwaja Asif has rolled back from his earlier statement. He had come out and claimed that Indian soldiers were taken prisoners of war, and he had said this and it was widely quoted and established. Now he's come out and said none have been captured or taken prisoners, and he said this, he clarified this to Ari News. The Defence Minister of Pakistan has been fact-checked live on Sky News by the Sky News anchor. So a lot of that is happening.
So I'm just saying, I think collectively it's only fair that we don't try and give too much of consideration to what the Pakistani media and the Pakistanis are claiming, because a lot of it will be bluster and braggadocio. So I don't think we should focus. We should focus on what Bharat is saying, what the official word is, and what confirmations we are getting at our end, and that's what we are going to responsibly try and put out here on the network and on the channel. Payal Mehta is also with us. Payal, what's the latest that you're hearing? This briefing, is it going to be the MEA plus the forces, and also are the fact-checking wings of the government going to be now on overdrive, given what's being disseminated on social media. There's a lot of fake news doing the rounds.
Well, of course, the whole idea is to make sure that no fake news trickles in, because even yesterday when India was preparing to do the mock drills, all kind of fake news was circulating, whether India would go into war or not. That is something which India certainly doesn't want. It wants to educate its people, and therefore all wings of the government are active currently. The fake news department has been working, the anti-fake news department has been working from the wee hours of the morning. They've been pressed into service. In fact, Information and Broadcasting Minister Ashwini Vaishnav is monitoring all the details himself, is also what we are given to understand. And of course, like I said, all attention will soon shift to the 10 a.m. press conference, where we will officially not just tell Indians, but we will tell the world what our forces have been able to do, what have we achieved, what was the target. And like it was reported by government sources early in the morning, Anand, that 9 out of 9 targets have been successful. So all the details will come out as well. There is nobody whatsoever, even if you are an opposition leader right now, even Assaduddin Owaisi believes that the Indian forces have been able to do what they've really done. So of course it's time for us to not just tell India but tell the world what exactly the details really are.
I think the Department of State has also put out an official tweet now. This is part of their official communication. Earlier this afternoon, which is the middle of the night for us, Secretary Rubio, who happens to be both Secretary of State as well as the acting National Security Advisor of the United States, he has spoken to the National Security Advisors of both India and Pakistan, Mr. Doval and General Malik. He's urged both to keep the lines of communication open and to avoid escalation. So all of this will be pressure that will be brought to bear on Pakistan, not to retaliate, not to escalate.
And right now their aircrafts are all in their hangars, and they're all being kept on ground. They've been grounded for now. I'm just going to read out some comments. India's commitment to eliminating all sources of terrorism in Pakistan and PoK is necessarily to be uncompromising and always be anchored in supreme national interest. This is a time for unity and solidarity. Right from the night of the 22nd of April, the Indian National Congress has been categorically stating that the government will have our fullest support in the nation's response to the Pahalgam terror attack. The INC is standing firmly with our armed forces. So that's the official position of the Congress party. There is also, I welcome the targeted strikes by our defense forces on terrorist hideouts in Pakistan. The Pakistani deep state should be taught a lesson that it never takes another step again. Pakistan's terror infrastructure should be destroyed. Jai Hind and hashtag Operation Sindoor. This is Assaduddin Owaisi. And now we are given to understand that the Shiv Sena has also congratulated. They have also come out. They have said that this is the NDA, this is the Shiv Sena coming through. AICC is going to do a press conference at 9 a.m. But more importantly, I think it's a whole of Bharat approach in terms of saluting the armed forces for what they've been able to effect on the intervening night of 6th and 7th of May. Meanwhile, Asawari Jagdale has hailed the Prime Minister for naming the Operation Sindoor.
असावरी जी, आपकी पहली प्रतिक्रिया, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर आपने देखा है, भारत ने पाकिस्तान को पूरी तरह से नेस्तनाबूद कर दिया है 9 जगह पर एयर स्ट्राइक करके।
मुझे लगता है ये भारत सरकार ने जो लोग वीर मरण जिन लोगों को वीर मरण प्राप्त हुआ 22 अप्रैल की तारीख को, उन लोगों के लिए ये आज श्रद्धांजलि के रूप में मुझे लगता है समर्पित किया गया है ये आज का एयर स्ट्राइक। और मुझे लगता है कि जैसे मैंने पहले भी बोला था कि टेररिज्म को आप फ्रॉम द बॉटम ख़त्म कर दो, पूरी तरह से ख़त्म कर दो, जहाँ से वो शुरुआत होती है वही ख़त्म कर दो। मुझे लगता है शायद ये एयर स्ट्राइक उसी का जवाब।
नाम पहली बार जब आपने सुना इस ऑपरेशन का, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, जब आपको ये पता चला, क्या पहली रिएक्शन थी आपकी, और ये नाम कितना ऐप्ट लगता है आपको, कितना सही लगता है इस ऑपरेशन के लिए? काफ़ी सोच समझ कर ये नाम दिया गया है। और
मुझे लगता है नाम बहुत सही है। जब हमने ऑपरेशन का नाम सिंदूर है और वो पूरा देखा, तो उसमें हमने देखा कि वो लाल रंग के इससे वो लिखा गया है, और सिंदूर इसलिए ही लिखा गया है कि जितने भी स्त्रियां वहाँ पे थी उस दिन, उन सबके पतियों को मारा था। क्योंकि हम लोग भारत की बहनें ऐसा वो कहते, तो जिन भी औरतों के पतियों को मारा उनके लिए ही शायद वो नाम रखा गया था कि तुम लोगों ने उन लोगों के सिंदूर ले लिए, वो औरतों के, हमारे औरतों के, तो हम उससे ही वही नाम लेके तुम लोगों को मारेंगे।
I think that significance of the name Operation Sindoor is not lost on anyone, not least on the victims, the daughters, the wives, the sisters who ended up losing their male family members, who were singled out identified by religion and then shot dead at point blank range. I also want to go across back to our reporters. Payal and Pallavi are joining us from 7LKM. Payal is there, and from the National Media Center, Pallavi is there. One good thing we've also seen is a degree of political unity, Pallavi. The Congress has put out a statement welcoming the strike. I believe Mr. Owaisi has also put out something similar. Most opposition parties also seem to be on the same page that we are with the government in this hour and our full political support with the action that the government has chosen to take.
Well, Zakar, I guess today is not the day to talk about all those multiple occasions on which Congress leaders have not saying one thing and doing completely different. But yes, today I think that message needs to go out not just to Pakistan but to the world, that they may have the political differences ideologically but at the same page, on the same page. At 9 a.m. Pawan Khera is going to give the first official reaction coming in from the Congress party. But you just have to scroll through the social media to see that almost every political party, and I would say all of them, have really been supporting the government on this. But you know, to talk from the point of view of the government also, Zaka, I think they have been going step by step from holding up all-party meeting in which the voice was put forward by the Defence Minister himself, and consistently the Prime Minister's office, the Prime Minister himself and all the senior leaders. In fact, what we picked up yesterday also was that the Prime Minister, the Defence Minister were the only ones who were being authorized to make any kind of comment as far as the Indo-Pak issue is concerned. So no off-the-cuff remarks, nothing out of line. That was something which the BJP and the government was very categorical about. Look at the first big press conference which we are going to be looking at today at 10 a.m. It's not coming in from anyone from the government. It is coming at the National Media Center, but it is going to come in from the representatives of the Air Force and the Army. So giving the credit to the Army is the first big, our armed forces is the first big step which the government wants to send out a message. The Prime Minister, after the closed door meeting, had made it very clear that the scale, the timing will be left to our armed forces because they know the best. So I think all those nitty-gritty, all those details will be put out at the 10 a.m. press conference. And today, of course, I think we are going to also put forward this whole issue about that entire country being one and the entire political class also being one. So this is a messaging which goes to the world, to Pakistan, that we are a vibrant democracy, and over here all stakeholders, all political stakeholders cutting across party lines have been taken on board by the government at every step. Of course, there are security details, there are security concerns which are never shared publicly beyond 2 or 3 of those people. Apart from keeping those factors in mind, by and large, I think the government has shared all the information, and also the political parties today will be defending the government.
All right, now the question is how to manage the fallout of the military operation, whether there will be a military retaliation by Pakistan. How do you manage that? Number one. Number two, the diplomatic fallout. It's not just the United States, but also the Indian External Affairs Ministry officials have spoken to their counterparts in Saudi Arabia and UAE, and I think that is extremely important. These are very, very important Islamic countries, influential members in the Gulf region, have influence and leverage over Pakistan as well. So representatives of Saudi Arabia and UAE have been spoken to. I believe they have also spoken to the UK authorities, as well as the important sort of diplomatic power capitals in the world which have some degree of influence on Islamabad. I think the idea right now, even from India's point of view, and it's very clear in the army statement, that India does not seek any further escalation, that India is not wanting to take this into the military realm. Whatever has been hit, and Anand will walk us through the various markazes and the various terror infrastructures and the launch pads that have been hit in these 9 different locations, the Indian authorities, the government and the political establishment and the military establishment are really drawing a line in the sand, saying this has nothing to do with the Pakistani state, nothing to do with the Pakistani army. These are purely out and out terror establishments, and they're hitting those terror establishments.
Targets, and allow me to please get back up and take our viewers through this. Let's talk about one of the biggest targets. The biggest targets for us has been Bahawalpur. So Bahawalpur is the JEM's HQ. So this is the JEM HQ, and what has been targeted here is the Markaz Subhanallah. So Markaz Subhanallah, what is the Markaz Subhanallah? Let's try and understand that in detail. Markaz Subhanallah is spread over an acreage of about 15 acres. This is the Jaish headquarters in Bahawalpur, It is located around the NH5 Karachi-Torkham highway on the outskirts of Bahawalpur in Karachi. And it is the main center of Jaish, and it is spread over 15 acres of land. It is spread over 15 acres of land. This markaz serves as the operational headquarters of the Jaish, and it was associated with the Pulwama terrorist attack that happened on the 14th of February 2019. The markaz also consists of residences of Maulana Masood Azhar, the de facto chief, and also Mufti Abdul Rauf Asgar, Maulana Anwar, and other family members. Masood Azhar remains the de jure chief of the JEM. In 2022, he was seen at this area, in this place, during the festival time. The Jaish conducts regular arms, physical and religious training for its cadre at Markaz Subhanallah. Senior JEM functionaries like Rauf Asgar, who's the de facto head of JEM, Masood Azhar, his brother-in-law Yusuf Azhar, Ustad Gauri, they are all people who reside here. The Pulwama perpetrators were trained here. The complex houses more than 600 cadre. Maulana Rafiqullah, former religious trainer of Markaz Usman Ali, is the chief instructor of this Markaz since 2022. Markaz Subhanallah was built with the help of provincial and federal governments of Pakistan. Apart from funds raised by JEM from Gulf and some African nations and also the UK, it is operational since 2015. Also, Markaz in 2018, a gymnasium was established inside the Markaz. It has a swimming pool in July 2018 for imparting rigorous swimming and deep water training. JEM imparts 6 days archery training to its cadre and Shura members. In 2019, the new Al-Hijama Center was also established here. It was established inside this Markaz. Horse stables and riding grounds were built in May 2022. On November 30th, 2024, Masood Azhar addressed the JEM cadre at Markaz Subhanallah after a gap of 2 years. Anti-India rhetoric was raised, including taking revenge for Babri Masjid demolition, etc., etc. The event was attended by Talha Saif, younger brother of Masood Azhar, Mohammad Abdullah bin Masood, and other JEM operatives. And before this, the last reported appearance of Masood Azhar at this camp was in February 2022. So 2 साल बाद वो दिखा था. It's located at an aerial distance of about 100 kilometers from the IB, that is in Rajasthan, Bikaner, Rajasthan. So this is a 100-kilometer distance from Bikaner, Rajasthan, Bahawalpur. So that's the reason why this target was very, very important. The huge terror Tanzim, Jaish, the entire family, its operational commanders were all found here. And Jaish has been proscribed as a terrorist organization under UAPA 1967 in October 2001. The organization has also been designated a terrorist organization by various nations, including the US, UK, Australia, Canada, UAE. This organization also banned by Pakistan in January 2022 under international pressure by the FATF, but they continue to get state backing. They continue to be hosted and taken care of by the Pakistani state. The Bahawalpur airbase is not so far away. Ishan is with us.
So I'll go to Ishan. I think one important thing that needs to be underlined is, so Jaish had no operational role in the Pahalgam attack. So I think what is important is Operation Sindoor is actually avenging a lot of attacks, not just what happened in Pahalgam. The 2019 Pulwama attack, of course, was carried out by the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Balakot was in response to the Jaish-e-Mohammed. But now to hit the very nerve center, the headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, where their seminaries are based, where their training centers are based, where Masood Azhar used to live for a large part of his life. Let me go across to the father of the Kashmiri pony rider who had been killed. नमस्ते, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए. आपका पहला प्रतिक्रिया, ये सईद आदिल हुसैन जो मर गए थे पहलगाम के जो आतंकवादी हमला हुआ था, आप बताइए उनके पिताजी होने के नाते आपका क्या पहला प्रतिक्रिया है ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, जिसमें पाकिस्तानी दहशतगर्दी जो साइट्स हैं वहां पे इंडियन आर्मी ने ऑपरेशन कैरी आउट किया है.
जी, मैं तो इससे ये बता रहा हूँ कि जो वो 26 लाशें वहां पर गई, जिनकी जाने गई, तो इसका बदला फौज और नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने और गवर्नमेंट ने जो किया, हमारी हुकूमत ने, तो इस पे मैं बहुत खुश हूँ. कि उन लाशों को भी, उन शहीदों को भी शांति मिली, इसमें मैं बहुत खुश हूँ।
सैयद हैदर साहब, जिस तरह से दहशतगर्दों के इन ट्रेनिंग कैंप्स को ध्वस्त किया गया, आपको लगता है दहशतगर्दी को पूरी तरह खत्म कर देना चाहिए?
जी, दहशतगर्दी को तो पूरी तरह खत्म कर देना चाहिए, क्योंकि जो हमारे मुल्क को तोड़फोड़ कर रहे हैं इनको पूरा खत्म कर दिया जाना चाहिए। ये मेरी गवर्नमेंट से अपील है।
और जो आदिल के साथ इन्होंने किया, आपको लगता है कि इस कार्रवाई से थोड़ा सा आपको सांत्वना मिली है?
जी हाँ, इससे तो हमें शांति मिली है कि इनका बदला भी हुआ है, तो इससे हमें शांति मिली है।
आपको क्या लगता है आगे और क्या करना चाहिए मोदी साहब को?
मोदी जी को जो है आगे भी ऐसा मतलब करना चाहिए, कंटिन्यू करना चाहिए ऐसा। ये जो मतलब दहशतगर्दी है इसको पूरा जड़ से जो है खत्म कर देना चाहिए।
ये पाकिस्तानी ये कहते हैं कि ये सब दहशतगर्दी वो इसीलिए कर रहे हैं क्योंकि वो कश्मीर के लिए कर रहे हैं और कश्मीरियों के लिए कर रहे हैं। आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
ये गलत बात है, वो किसी के लिए नहीं कर रहे हैं। अगर वो ऐसा कर रहे होते फिर कश्मीरियों को नहीं मारते। हर बार जो है कश्मीरी जो है मरता है, मासूम कश्मीरियों की या मासूम लोगों की हर बार जो है जान जाती है सर। ये दहशतगर्द को जो है, दहशतगर्दी को जड़ से ही जो है उखाड़ देना चाहिए, इसको खत्म कर देना चाहिए।
आप आदिल के भाई हैं, मैं आपसे भी जानना चाहूंगा इस वक्त आपको क्या लगता है कि यहीं तक कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए कि और भी ज्यादा करने की जरूरत है, पूरी तरह इसको खत्म करना चाहिए?
नहीं, इसको जो है पूरी कार्रवाई करके इसको जो है पूरा खत्म कर देना चाहिए, ताकि आइंदा मतलब कभी ऐसा ना हो। हमारे जो है निहत्थे लोग, हमारे मासूम लोग जो है आइंदा कभी, मतलब हमारे टूरिस्ट लोग आए थे यहाँ पे, हमारे मेहमान लोग आते हैं या हमारे लोकल लोग या मेरे भाई, आइंदा कभी ऐसा किसी बाप का सहारा जो है उससे ना छीने, किसी भाई का सहारा जो है उससे ना छीने, किसी माँ का बेटा उससे ना छीने। इसको जो है जड़ से उखाड़ देना चाहिए सर।
ये सब वो इस्लाम के नाम पे करते हैं, ये कह रहे हैं। क्या इस्लाम ऐसी इजाजत देता है?
इस्लाम ये किसी कोई भी धर्म हो, कोई भी धर्म ये जो है इस चीज की इजाजत नहीं देता है कि आप निहत्थे मासूम लोगों का कत्ल करो या मासूम इंसानियत का कत्ल करो। ये कोई भी धर्म जो है, इस्लाम धर्म को छोड़ के आप कोई भी धर्म देखो या इस्लाम धर्म देखो, कोई भी धर्म इसकी जो है इजाजत नहीं देता।
मैं आप दोनों का शुक्रिया करता हूं हमसे बात करने के लिए और इस सपोर्ट के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर।
जय हिंद।
All right, we've got some experts also joining us now. Rajiv Dogra is former diplomat. He's been Consul General in Karachi. Brigadier Vinod Datta, retired, is a Kargil War veteran. He's also there with us. We're also joined by Lieutenant General Raj Shukla, defense expert. Rajiv Dogra, let me ask you. I mean, this was something that had been talked about for the last 2 weeks. In fact, for a number of years now, how Pakistan needs to be taught that there is a cost, there is a pain for these repeated terror attacks. Now that the headquarters of the Lashkar in Muridke, the headquarters of the Jaish in Bahawalpur, the headquarters of the Hizbul Mujahideen has also been struck. What are your first thoughts on Operation Sindoor? Der aaya, durust aaya?
Well, the first thoughts are as are the thoughts of every Indian. You had an extensive interview with the father and the brother of the Kashmiri victim, and I think he expressed it very well, that please do not think that anyone from Kashmir to Kanyakumari is not one. I think that's a brilliant message, and that needs to be reinforced. The second important thing which I want to emphasize is the way government has gone about in consulting everyone nationally and in consulting everyone, keeping them in confidence, taking their views into the picture outside the country. Otherwise, Trump would not have spoken immediately after the strikes. There are two other things. Prime Minister Modi spoke to President Putin just a day or two before the strikes. He spoke to the Qatari Amir just a day before the strike, yesterday. Qatari was important because Qatar, as you know, has been host to Taliban, has been host to Hamas leadership. So it has a certain sort of nuance in the terror world.
and also an attachment to.
But Dogra Sahab, how do you see China's role now? It hasn't spoken officially, no reaction has come from China at all. What do you think they're going to do?
Well, you brought in the big question into the picture. I hope China has no role to play, period. Right? China being China would want to, have a role definitely, and it depends on how the situation develops.
Dogra Sahab, give me one moment. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've got the first reaction from Israel as well, one of the first countries to come out and openly support India, saying that India is fully within its right to defend itself. There is no place for terrorists to hide. There should be no excuses that anyone makes for terrorists. So I think just like India was one of the first countries after the October 7th attacks, came out unequivocally supported Israel. Now Israel is returning the favor in that sense.
But the interesting thing is that they mentioned again terrorists.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the
Israel stands with India. One of the first reactions that came.
Action has been extremely focused because the Indian side and the Indian establishment has made this very clear.
This is a war on terror, and terror establishments have been attacked.
One more thing. Talk a little bit about the Chinese matrix.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the Qatar endorsement that Ambassador Rajiv Dogra was talking about came on a day when the OIC statement had come. So it was a timely counter to the propaganda that was trying to be pushed by the Pakistanis, that the Qataris came out and openly endorsed Bharat's right to respond to any act of terrorism. Air Marshal Kapoor is with us in the studio. I'm going to request our team at the back end to also get the audio up on the foldback so everybody in the studio can hear what our guests who are joining us from outside are saying. Yes, Ambassador Dogra, the China angle. Yeah.
Well, China, as I said, has made statements even before the strike, which were clearly pro-Pakistan. And in fact, they were provocative in a way. Provocative, perhaps preventive also of Indian anticipated action. So China, I think, will initially watch the situation, see how it develops, and then decide on its action, whether it is kinetic action or supportive action in international fora. That remains to be seen. But China, let's not forget, has already supplied Pakistan with a lot of equipment, both air equipment and the land means and so on. So China is not going to be a well-wisher of India. Point number one. China would also be watching its flanks because it knows that America is watching China's action and China's reaction in case it comes about. So let's assume that China is not on our side and proceed from there.
All right. I also want to go to Siddhant, who's joining us on the Israel story. So the Israeli ambassador has just put this up on Twitter, saying that Israel supports India's right to defend itself. Siddhant, what more has Ambassador Azhar said? And I think you can also capture for us how India and Prime Minister Modi were the first to react to Israel's attack on 7th of October 2023, and now Israel is sort of complimenting India for what it has done, Operation Sindoor.
Well, that's right, Zaka. In fact, Israel has always supported India, perhaps stood with India when it comes to India's fight against terrorism. In fact, as you rightly said, when 7th October happened, Prime Minister Modi perhaps was the first world leader to in fact speak to Prime Minister Netanyahu and express his condolences and support of India to Israel. And perhaps the same is being reciprocated at this point in time. And in fact, Zaka, also since last 2 weeks, Israeli ambassador has given multiple interviews, in fact, to our networks also, confirming the support of Israel. And perhaps, there were a lot of similarities also, the way 7th October happened and the way Pahalgam happened. Perhaps, on the basis of religion, the civilians were targeted. And that perhaps gave a kind of a personal touch to the Israeli government. And in fact, I have been speaking to Israeli friends in the Israeli government. And each day they were keeping very close eyes on the developments, perhaps from Prime Minister Netanyahu to their senior ministers to the ambassador, all have extended full support. And now Israel is the first few country to react or rather give full support to what India has done by doing Operation.
He has hashtagged it as Operation Sindoor. So Operation Sindoor is something that resonates with a lot of people. I'm just going to quote what one of the viewers has sent me. It's a small poem that they've written saying सिंदूर बना है लहू दुश्मन का, अब गरजे हैं वीर अंबर से, ना चेतावनी ना माफी, अब नापाकी कापेंगे इस मंजर से, जय हिंद. And Payal Mehta is just sending us some more inputs. We're going to check if she's there. That the reason why this operation was termed Operation Sindoor, extremely pained by the death of the civilians, especially men of the house. During one of the meetings, the Prime Minister came up with this name, suggested this name as Operation Sindoor. So this had the ratification or suggestion and imprint at the highest levels of the government. It once again highlights the significance of Sindoor and what it means to Indian women. That's how the image or the entire shape of this operation actually took the contours of this operation took shape. That's what they are saying. And if we look at the map that's drawn, this is also somewhere symbolic that this is a vermilion mark or there is a sindoor. So there is a shape of this. Payal Mehta joining us with more. Yes, Payal. So the Prime Minister himself endorsed Operation Sindoor, the name itself.
You know, Anand, if you observe Prime Minister Narendra Modi's career as a Prime Minister, you will know that any scheme or any project that he names is not without a reason as well. We are given to understand, I have been able to speak to multiple sources, both in the establishment, in the government, as well as, people in the military establishment as well. They are basically saying that Prime Minister Narendra Modi was extremely pained by what had really happened, especially the fact that, you will understand what the Sindoor means to Indian women in particular as well. For them, Sindoor mit gaya, Sindoor chala gaya, that's a very, very deeply emotional state as well. So depending on what really the sentiment was, in one of the meetings that the Prime Minister had possibly with the military establishment, he came up with this.
Payal, the Minister of External, and he's put out the image of Operation Sindoor.
Again, the word is terrorism. Must show zero tolerance for terrorism, because that's what India has struck. We have struck the terror infrastructure in Pakistan. We haven't struck the Pakistani state.
So, Payal, just a quick word on Dr. Jaishankar. So, you have the Raksha Mantri who has tweeted. He has simply said Bharat Mata ki Jai, nothing else. Now the External Affairs Minister has tweeted saying Operation Sindoor. Also walk us through the various conversations that have been happening both in North Bloc and in South Bloc, because ultimately India also has to manage the diplomatic fallout of this. So conversations have happened with the Americans, with the Saudis, with the Emiratis. Just walk us through what has been going on in the wee hours of this morning after Operation Sindoor was concluded.
Well, we do know that there were a small team of people who were actually up all night monitoring the situation. One of those people who would actually be watching this very closely would be Dr. Jaishankar, because Anand and Zaka, he would have to work around a lot of phone lines. That's what he's been doing, for the last 2 weeks, essentially reaching out to all the leaders that we can, all the leaders who have expressed support to India in this fight against terrorism as well. That is something which has been happening as well. All arms of the government have been working. Dr. Jaishankar has also not just been working on this, but also have been helping the Home Minister and the Jal Shakti Minister on fine-tuning the abeyance of the Indus Water Treaty as well. So obviously he's had his hands full as well. But India will have a lot of response to give. What we are given to understand, and I can say this now, to our viewers, I've been interacting with a lot of ministers doing part of these meetings with the Prime Minister, Anand and Zaka. The thing is that the Prime Minister has always been of the opinion that our enemy are not the people of Pakistan. We need to teach the terrorists a lesson. We're not here to teach a lesson, to the people of Pakistan. The normal people of Pakistan have no fault of their own to deserve a leaders or to deserve a set of leaders like this. That is something which has been communicated in as many words to all the departments that have been, working on this economic, war against Pakistan.
Right. Interestingly, everybody in the government is tweeting. The cabinet ministers are all tweeting. Prime Minister has not tweeted yet. The Prime Minister's handle is silent right now, because I think everybody else and the actions are speaking much louder than words. To those who are taking jibes at the Prime Minister a few days ago saying he is ghayab, where it is, and those who are trying to show toy planes here and there with Nimbu Mircha and all of that, I'm sure they've all been put in place. The Congress party officially is saying that they back Mallikarjun Kharge. Is also the Congress president has also now tweeted saying that we unequivocally back the Indian armed forces and national unity take supremacy and war on terror.
We haven't heard from Rahul Gandhi.
Yeah.
Well, in the past, the Prime Minister also sort of held in abeyance his commentary till the army actually came out and made the statement.
Yeah,
so I think
Balakot also till the briefing happened and
he's
till
been very correct,
that's
right
when
to the T.
he spoke about it. But the Prime Minister was there in the war room right through the night. Marshal, your reaction on Operation Sindoor, the name itself, how significant it is, and is it a strong message?
Yes, of course. It is a unprecedented kind of an operation that has been planned and executed this morning. Surprise is the key element, and it came at a time when the nation was to practice the safety drills today. And of course, those drills would be as applicable now, even more, once we have taken this action. We may expect some retaliation from the other side. And let's not forget, the enemy is a professional armed forces. They would also like to take revenge on the called the attack which we have done to take out their targets, but obviously they would be planning, and we should be ready in the escalatory ladder to take where this operation goes.
Hey Marshal, but you look at the statement, and I'll get General Shukla also to weigh in on this. The first statement that was put out by the ADGPR, the publicity wing of the armed forces, the army, clearly said that A, this is non-escalatory, we don't want to escalate. Two, that this was within the line of control on Indian side, the LC or the IB were not crossed. And most importantly, it also specifically said these are targeted at terror launch pads and terror infrastructure. No military installations have been hit or targeted. I mean, what do you make of that? Why have they said that?
See, this is basically what we call in simple language a rap on the knuckles.
Okay.
You wake up. So this is basically the message from our government to them, that this is just a rap, so we can do much more, but we will now for the first day not cross the IB, not escalate it by targeting the military targets, and secondly the main the hub centers from where the training is done and the people are launched, those have been targeted, indicating to them that we are aware that this is the place, we are aware how to strike. And from our side, we have used beyond visual range weapons, and that have taken them out.
Right. Defense sources are telling us that Army, Air Force played an important role in the strikes, with both conducting the strikes in a coordinated manner. Loitering munitions were mainly used by the Army and the Indian Air Force. By the Army, the Indian Air Force used standoff weapons. Akash is joining us with more, and then we'll request our guest to elaborate on this and explain this further in context to our viewers. Yes, Akash.
So Anand, defense sources are telling us, that this was a coordinated operation, of course, and Indian Army and Indian Air Force, both played an important role. Indian Army, in fact, engaged with the targets, and we have been given to understand that more than 60 to 70% of the targets were engaged by Indian Army, and remaining 30%, were engaged by Indian Air Force. Also, we have been told the loitering munition, were mainly used by Indian Army, and as far as Indian Air Force is concerned, so this force was basically using standoff weapons. Though, at around 10 a.m. we have this official briefing. We'll be getting details of these sort of platforms and weapons that were used in this particular operation, but this is one of those operations where we have seen the coordination and in fact integrated efforts by the forces.
Right, thank you for that. General Shukla, loitering munitions, could you elaborate how this could have been given effect? We have both the Army and the Air Force with us in the panel, so please take this forward. Yes, General Shukla. We'll try and go across to General Raj Shukla in a bit. Yes, Air Marshal, yeah.
See, India has developed in last 6 years, especially after Balakot, our indigenous capability. So the weapons that our DRDO, especially the BrahMos variants, may have been used for the strike. That is my guess. So we have BrahMos, we have Scalp, we have Hammer, and associated weapons which may have been used for this strike. The point to note is that we have different variants. We have certain Russian aeroplanes, we have certain Western aeroplanes, and we have like LCA indigenous aeroplanes. The same weapon has to perform in a similar manner in all the three different platforms. So the integration is what is the most time consuming thing which has been done. So now we are in a position to use these weapons from any of our strikers.
No, but what does it mean by the Air Force? Just one question. You know, so when Balakot happened, I believe it was 12 Mirage 2000s that were used, I think about a dozen, and it was the Spice munitions that were used. How is this different? You reckon that, for example, the Rafales might have been pressed into service,
yes,
or the other newer aircraft?
I'm not privy to what was the package. I'm not privy to the operations.
No, but in 9 places being hit simultaneously.
So it would have been a massive package. It would have been a package of large number of aeroplanes, and all possible platforms in our inventory would have been pressed into service. And it would have been planned considering the air defense setup across in mind, because the hostility can immediately escalate at this stage. So they, and in situations like these, their aircrafts are always airborne, protecting their assets. So any of them can engage this side. So how much to stay inside, how much to go across, where is the line you have to do. So this is all split second.
So Air Marshal, I just wanted to ask you this, because you made an interesting reference. You said, the Pakistani army is a professional army, you expect them to now hit back, etc., etc. So what do you think is the likely scenario that is going to emerge? Do you think they're going to try and cross the LOC, or because I'm getting a lot of reports here from different people who are saying that there's quite a bit of shelling going on at the LOC. And there's some posts that have been destroyed on that side, not on our side, but that side. So I'm trying to understand what's going on.
The narrative which they have been able to put across to their people for last 70 years is that they are the saviors. They have won all the battles. There is no mention of 93,000 prisoners. There is no mention in their stories about Bangladesh creation. There is no mention about how they lost in 71 and other places. So even the previous Balakot strike, they have emerged victor. And they have been portraying Abhinandan's picture, and they say that we have shot down this thing. Wherein as per the input says that Abhinandan shot through R-73 one of their F-16s, but and the Pakis used an AMRAAM, which as per the contract by the Americans they were not supposed to use during Balakot strike. Now the Indians did give the proof after this strike to them, but with time and passage the usage of F-16 and AMRAAM was never discussed beyond a particular stage. They would not like in any way to portray to the world that a modern aircraft of theirs was engaged in a combat with a 60s aeroplane of Russian make. So that may be one of the reasons. Now coming to the specific question which you just asked, we must be ready. I'm sure the things would be put in place, because their masses, their public, their own countrymen is going to ask that if our targets have been hit, what have you done? So shelling of course will continue. Now the size of the shells and the caliber will increase. They'll start going more in depth, and they will start to target some military installations, because we don't have any terrorist hideouts at our end.
Lieutenant General Satish Dua, retired former GOC, General Officer Commanding of the 15 Corps, is joining us. Good morning to you. Jai Hind to you, General Dua. Your first reactions on Operation Sindoor. 9 different terror locations, terror launch pads and terror infrastructure places have been hit in a simultaneous operation.
Jai Hind, everybody. It fills me with professional pride, first of all, and I'm sure it does the nation, that we have actually managed to, we've actually done what we wanted to do to bring closure to those 26 lives lost and the perpetrators of terror. And this time round, we have given a very befitting response, because this time, unlike Puri surgical strike, or unlike the Balakot precision airstrike, they were announced after they had been carried out. This time round, the Prime Minister, the Defence Minister, they had announced to the country, they had announced to the world that we will go after the terror, not only these terrorists, but also their backers and the terror ecosystem that supports them. And we've done precisely that, because these are the those hubs of terror that have been hit, especially the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed. So this is for the first time that we have struck deep, struck precisely, and I'm sure it will have a telling effect both in terms of
will Bharat's military posture
marginalizing the terror and as well as last sentence,
General
and
Sahab, sorry.
as well as a statement.
General Sahab, will Bharat's military posture be redefined or looked at differently pre and post Operation Sindoor? Zaka made this point sometime back. I just want to know your views. And in the operation details, we also have got to understand that the army used loitering munitions with the Air Force in a standoff position. So 70% of the targets decimated by the army, 30% by the Air Force. Can you explain this a little bit tactically for our viewers also? Ji, two questions, two parts to the question.
So, firstly, as to the details, I don't have full details. What I'm hearing from you and what I'm hearing from media since last few hours is that it is a combination of all three services. Like you use precise words of loitering munitions. So, you know, target designation is done as per the suitability of the target and of the, considering the range, and a precise target to mission allocation is done as per the requirements of the target and capabilities of the munition, oblique rockets, oblique missiles, or whatever. So that details, I'm afraid, I don't have. But what I can tell you, in answer to your question, is that the right, assigning the right target at the right time is the correct thing, and I think that has been done very precisely.
All right.
Because we also have to ensure that there is no collateral damage. We are hitting only the target that we want to, because we want it to be non-escalatory.
All right. Just give me 1 second, General. We also have Mr. Vikram Sood, the former chief of the Research and Analysis Wing. Thank you very much, Mr. Sood, for speaking with us. Jai Hind to you. It must be a good morning. 7th of May, 2025 is a red letter day. It'll be etched in the history of India, in the military history of India for sure. 9 different locations, terror launch pads, terror infrastructure, including the headquarters of the Lashkar in Muridke, the headquarters of the Jaish in Bahawalpur being hit. As someone who spent a whole career, talking about this, what do you feel on a day like today?
Well, actually, this was something one sort of expected would happen. When it would happen, one wasn't sure, because there are lots of things to be considered by the government before they go into this. But it's happened, and it should have happened many years ago. In fact, it should have happened, something like this should have happened after 26/11. But that's history now. And I'm glad it has happened, and it's necessary, but we have to be prepared for a counter. That is their DNA. They want to do it, and unless somebody can put pressure on them and to not to do it. I heard in some other channel this morning that, I think in some American channel, CNN probably, that the Americans should tell the Pakistanis that that's it. Now you did something wrong in India. Now this is the apt reply. Now keep quiet. I don't know whether they will be able to do it, because the army would have a lot at stake. Will they agree to the American suggestion, well, not officially but otherwise, that Imran Khan should be released, elections should be held, etc., etc. I don't think Asim Munir has the capacity or the desire to do all that. He's playing a different game for himself. He wants to, probably is seeking a second term or a third term as chief.
No, but you said there will be a retaliation. What form or nature would that retaliation be? And what might possibly be the off-ramp? Because, at the front and center of all of this is Asim Munir. A week before Pahalgam happened, he made those comments, pretty visceral comments, and then Pahalgam happened. What is the off-ramp for him here?
I don't know. I think he would want to make a strike. I've heard that they're sort of alerted and moved their armored dips. I'm not sure whether that's right or wrong. This is all news that's coming in. So there has to be, there will, as I said, the DNA says we must attack, we must retaliate. Whether that happens or not, if they stand down now, then maybe that's the de-escalation.
But Mr. Sood, what was the calculation then? I mean, why was this done? Pahalgam is clearly an act that was supported by the Pakistani establishment. There's no doubt about that. It wouldn't have happened if there wasn't full backing. So what is the end game? The Pakistanis have done Pahalgam and they're looking poorer for it. So where do they go from here?
You know, my assessment has always been that terror won't stop unless you hit the source. And we haven't hit the source yet, in a manner of speaking, because the source is the Pakistan Army. These are the carriers of the instructions, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba and their successors. They are only doing what they've been told to do. They're not independent bodies. So how are we going to hit the Pakistan Army, squeezing it, make sure they don't get supplies from elsewhere, or make it unpopular in their country? Make the hold of the army unpopular in the country.
Okay, so you're saying that perhaps could be done non-kinetically. I just wanted to bring in General Dua on a point that he had made. Do you believe, General Dua, that we have crossed a new threshold? This is one nuclear power striking on the land of another nuclear power, albeit on terror targets, terror infrastructure. That I don't think has happened in recent military history at all. Two nuclear powers exercising kinetic options, or at least one.
Absolutely right. You see, for long, Pakistan has used the nuclear card. And in Kargil conflict, we saw how the world, led by USA, especially USA, mediated to make sure that two nuclear powers, it doesn't escalate out of control, and so that leads to bigger things. But then in 2016, because Pathankot terror-based attack happened and the Uri attack happened after that, but I was the Corps Commander that time. When we went, it was a shallow strike, multiple raids, but we actually called the nuclear bluff, especially in Balakot in 2019, because it was a deep precision airstrike. But again at terror camps, we were ensured not to, we took care not to engage with the military targets. So there I think we found a little space below the nuclear threshold, and this time around, again, like I said, we are trying to make it non-escalatory, striking only at the bases, as I can see, the terror infrastructure. So, like Mr. Sood said, I agree that we would actually have to make sure that these terror camps are not resuscitated again. For that, something else would have to be done. But now we have done a much bigger strike. We have done the strike at the terror base headquarters. So I think that we are trying to keep the escalation matrix under control.
But Vikram Soodji, one thing with the Pakistanis is, Vikram Soodji, if you're still there, that they are willing to play the long game with respect to terror. This bleeding, they are somebody who are able to take a nikat ka nuksan for a dur ka fayda. And here they will also have the non-state players in play. They can go back and tell the Jaish, tell the Lashkar, tell these Tanzeems, take your time, go back and bleed again, go back into Bharat and bleed Bharat again. So what should we wait for? Will it be only an immediate military response, or do we now have to be on a heightened alert with respect to internal security?
This is a question too?
Yes, Vikramji, aapke liye. This is Anand here, sir. Namaste.
Yeah, this is for me.
Yes, sir.
You ask me. Well, if we have to, when you sit down and do these kinds of strikes, you do your SWOT analysis and work out what the enemy is going to do. So I'm sure the government has thought through all this, the possibility of the Pakistanis attacking somewhere else. I wonder if they would be bold enough or stupid or foolish enough to strike a civilian target now.
No, Mr. Sood, sorry, go on, please finish your point, sorry.
They will have to look for a military target first, I think, because there are no terror camps here. There is no, similarity with the two positions. So they'll probably look for a military engagement, and that would be escalation also.
If that were to happen, what is India's option, or does India then inevitably have to climb up the escalation ladder? Because there is a view, and there's some credence to this view, that India has much more to lose by climbing the escalation ladder. It's a bigger economy. It's 10 times bigger than Pakistan. We're on the brink of these trade deals with multiple Western countries. We're actually the counterweight to China. So getting dragged in this escalation ladder might be more costly for us than it is for Pakistan.
It will be. It will be more costly for us in the economic sense. That if they hit targets that are economic, then we have more to lose in that sense. But Pakistan has more to lose in the sense that if this war continues, then they barely have means to survive. What, a fortnight or a week? In terms of money and munitions. So what are they going to do with that situation?
So Shant Sareen, let me weave you into this conversation. The requirement is also sustained deterrence. Now, we've done what we have. We've put out a statement which is couched in legalese, making a distinction between the Pakistani state and the terror infrastructure that we have struck. So we've been very careful. We've also said we haven't crossed the LOC or the border at any length. How do we ensure sustained deterrence?
All that we have put out in our statement, really, it's okay. It's basically at one level, it's virtue signaling. It really doesn't change the dynamics of what has happened last night. And the message that the Indian state has delivered, that we will be going out and hitting these kind of targets, and the fact that we will not be limiting ourselves only to, as we have done in the past, either the shallow strikes that General Dua spoke about, or even something like the Balakot. Now, we are not going to be shari of targeting a terror camp, whether it's on the outskirts of Lahore, in Muridke, or in Bahawalpur, or any of the other places that have been targeted. So I think that is the message that the Pakistanis have also got, and that is the message to which they will react and respond. Now, one possible off-ramp can be that, they have claimed a lot of success of having shot down some aircraft, having bombed brigade headquarters. Much of it is unconfirmed right now. And they can take that as an off-ramp. Or they can do what Mr. Sood says that they are likely to do, that they will go up and want to respond much more. At which point of time, I think we will have no choice but to go up the escalation ladder. Now, I agree that in absolute terms, maybe we will have to pay a higher price than the Pakistanis. But if you look at it in relative terms, given the size of the economies of the two countries and the economic wherewithal of the two countries, I think the cost for the Pakistanis will be just as high. Secondly, I think if the Pakistanis were to target any defense installation, then of course all bets are off. I don't think the government in India will have any choice but to start targeting Pakistani military bases. And if they can target our headquarters, brigade or unit level, or even higher level, division level, then so can we target this. So it's not as though their targets, their bases are invulnerable and ours are vulnerable. So I think that's the game two can play, and I'm sure the Pakistanis understand that.
Right.
So the question is, what else are they likely to do? Now, one possibility is that they will drop some bombs in some place where not much damage is caused, and they can claim that these were so-called terror training camps, as they have been alleging for a fair bit of time, of Baloch or some other militants who are being trained in India. We know that's utter trash, but they could use that as a possible thing, or else they could even don't be surprised, and the pure speculation. They could say that, okay, fine, we've targeted some RSS headquarters somewhere, or some RSS camp somewhere, because we consider RSS to be a terrorist organization. Now, that is the kind of scurrilous propaganda that the Pakistanis have been carrying out for a fair bit of time. I'm not saying that is what they will do, but
but,
rule it
that
out.
is something, Sushant Sareen, they don't need to do overnight. Right now, in terms of a kinetic escalation, Pakistan does not have the money in the bank. The IMF bailout is due 2 days from now. There is international pressure to de-escalate. The Pakistanis are masters at playing this waiting game. They're still avenging 71. They're still waiting. Every time there are 99 ke baad, they came back 2 years later. Then they came back 5 years later. Then they came back 7 years later. And they come with their proxies. They don't need to come into a direct kinetic engagement with Bharat because every time they get beaten. This is their mentality. I've just, sorry Sushantji, I've just come back to you. We've got more inputs coming through. There is firing on from both sides along the LOC. The LOC is hot even after daybreak. Defense sources are saying that the BFS has been put on high alert along the western border. Arunima joining us with more details. So intermittent firing and heavy arm firing is on even after daybreak. Yes, Arunima.
Yes, sir. So all across the line of control, we've seen fighting happen last night, training happening in Queens, where at least 3 civilians have been killed in Pakistan's firing ceasefire violation. It's also happening along the LOC in North Kashmir. In Kupwara, reports are coming in, and this hasn't stopped even after daybreak. Intermittent firing is still going on, is what defense officials are telling me, and this intermittent firing is being retaliated by India as well, all along the western border. While Jammu and Kashmir is at the center of the current ceasefire violation, all along the western border, the border security force is also on high alert. So in Gujarat, in Rajasthan, in Punjab, the airspace in Punjab border airports have also been shut down. There is an air advisory that the Chandigarh airport also may not be functional till the next update comes. In Rajasthan, there is an air exercise, pre-scheduled air exercise that is going on. Border security force is keeping a heightened alert currently in Rajasthan and Gujarat sector as well, because the thing is that even though India says that the action taken was de-escalatory in nature, the kind of statements coming in from Pakistan are very provocative, and India, of course, does not want to take any chances.
They will make only provocative statements, but 100 kilometers across Bahawalpur is Rajasthan. So that's the reason why there is also activity there, and this entire air activity, movement of air fleets towards Bahawalpur, perhaps on hindsight, there was a reason why there was so much of activity that was happening, and it has all happened in such a way it's caught the Pakistanis unaware. Sushantji, coming back to you. Thank you, Arunima. Sushantji, coming back to you, and we'll take this conversation forward with Air Marshal and also General Dua. This aspect of the Pakistanis ready to play, go down to whatever wild levels of engagement is concerned. They fought this proxy war, and can they take the humiliation in the near term? Because it's in their interest and they can't afford a larger escalation. But should we now have to be perennially on alert? Sushant Sareen and then the others. Yes, please make your point.
You know, Anand, I'm a little surprised that you say that do we now have to be perennially on the alert? I thought that's a no-brainer. I thought that's a no-brainer since 1947. That's a no-brainer since 1965 and since 71, and the terrorism that has been imposed on us or inflicted on us by the Pakistanis for decades now. So yes, we have to be eternally vigilant, we have to be prepared, and yes, now the scale of what things might happen could go up. But the Pakistanis also know this, that if they were to do something like this again, using their proxies, then the reaction from the Indian side will be just what it was last night. So that's not going to be any different. But to come back to their economic vulnerabilities, see, if I was a Pakistani, I would be calculating that as of now, there doesn't seem to be any pressure on me that the IMF or some of the other multilateral institutions are going to hold back on the next tranche that is going to be due to them, and are going to hold this as a kind of a leverage over the Pakistanis to back off, scale down, take the off ramp. There is no indication as yet. If now that happens in the next day
Sushant, so the next discussion is on the 9th, which is 2 days from now. Yeah. If they were to retaliate between today and the 9th, surely that will have ramifications on the next tranche.
But if they were to retaliate and then say that we are not going to do anything more, then will it have an impact on the next tranche or not? So I think, you know, we are in that grey zone on this particular issue. Unless the Americans or somebody else who holds a kind of a veto in the IMF has already told them that if you were to do anything more than what has already happened over the last, maybe 8-9 hours, that is it. If you are going to go up this chain, then there are going to be serious repercussions on you. I don't know whether the Americans have given any such indication, and they're the only ones who can actually hold back the money and veto what is likely to happen. I don't think anybody has that power. Right. The second thing is that the Pakistanis can also come to the conclusion that maybe they can play with this escalation ladder a couple of rungs simply because the Chinese will supply them, the Turks will supply them, etc., etc., and maybe they can go up a couple of rungs up the ladder. But I don't think they are also really interested in going in for an all-out conflict. I think what their job or their desire right now would be to make sure that they have shown India that they can hit back. Are they willing to go further up the escalation ladder? Maybe they are. I don't know. I don't entirely rule it out.
See, if they hit back, if they hit
comes in of empty coffers.
No, but if they hit back, then that gives us sizable ground to claim acreage, Air Marshal. That means if they hit back at a military installation, it's the Pakistanis who are escalating it. They are responding to a war on terror with a military strike. That gives us more handle to push for acreage and up the intensity, which Pakistan cannot afford right now.
See, if you see how Israel handled Hamas, if you see how we have handled Pakistan today, this is a sign of a matured nation wherein we do not want any civilian casualties, where we do not want to escalate, and we begin with striking the key people who perpetrated that attack. So we have shown to the world, in my appreciation, today's attack. And one thing is very clear, that 4 cities in Pakistani Punjab have been hit today, which has never been the case earlier. So the 5 cities, 5 targets have been in PoK-occupied Kashmir, but 4 have been in Pakistani Punjab. So this is where the heart of the Pakistan lies, and when their heart has been attacked, obviously this is going to churn up emotions. It will churn up a lot of thoughts in their CCS meet, which they are going to have in a few hours from now.
Right.
The public will try and come on the roads to put pressure on the administration and the army to take retaliatory action.
Sorry sir, UAE has responded. UAE has said on India-Pakistan tensions, exercise restraint, de-escalate tensions and avoid further escalation. That is what the UAE has said. And even as you weigh in on it and we take this forward, Pallavi Ghosh is saying that the Army and the Indian Air Force will be present at the briefing at 10 a.m. and it's going to be a statement. Questions are not going to be entertained.
Yeah, which is how it was after Balakot, which was how it was after Uri as well. So this statement that's been put out by the UAE Deputy Prime Minister Sheikh Abdul bin Zayed Al Nahyan, he has called for both India and Pakistan to exercise restraint, de-escalate tensions and avoid further escalation. I think it's important in the context that UAE is one of the few countries, I think about 5 or 6 countries that were spoken to in the immediate aftermath of Operation Sindoor. UAE happens to be one of them along with Saudi Arabia. So I think it's important to underline these are countries that have a tremendous amount of influence on Pakistan. They are key members of the Gulf Cooperation Council. They are loaded, they have petrodollars, they often lend money to Pakistan and have, like I said, leverage on the Pakistani establishment and also on the Pakistani army. So I think the fact that the UAE has also now come out and publicly put out this statement will again add further pressure to the Pakistani military. Pallavi Ghosh is joining us with more details on this. So Pallavi, the NMC briefing at 10 a.m., much like what we saw in Balakot, much like what we saw in the aftermath of Uri, there will be representatives from the defense forces, in this case I believe from the army and the air force, and there will also be a representative from the Ministry of External Affairs.
Hello. Okay.
Pallavi, can you hear me?
But in the meantime,
Pallavi seems to be inside the National Media Center right now. We'll try and go across to her. Can you hear us, Pallavi? Just quickly checking.
The Foreign Minister of Turkey has come out.
Yeah.
Hakan Fidan. And he has said that we express solidarity with Pakistan against India's unprovoked aggression, violating Pakistan's sovereignty and killing innocent civilians. Pakistani travel guides, according to them, Ministry of Foreign Affairs statement that Turkey's FM expressed concern over deteriorating regional security situation. However, both the leaders agreed to remain in close coordination on the evolving situation. So Turkey has certainly picked a side here.
Turkey has not only picked a side, they've also sent a plane. I think that's also...
well, that was something that was reported
calibrated. Interesting
on
that after the
radar.
strike, the only flight over the Pakistani airspace was a plane from Istanbul to Karachi. Yes, Pallavi. So no questions will be taken. Will the MEA also be present along with the Army and the Air Force spokespersons? Yeah.
So as of now, the details which have been put out by the PIB is, and you can see those preparations right behind me, all the mic testing and all the chairs and all of that have been put here, that representatives from the armed forces and the Air Force are going to be addressing this. It's not going to be an interactive press conference as of now. That has not been planned. It's just going to be a suo moto statement which is going to give out details of the operations, the security operations, the security details, but of course not being compromised. But at the same time, the detail is going to reflect on the fact that there's a lot of fake news which is being peddled by Pakistan with something which has to be outrightly rejected and not reflected at all. Ever since this operation took place, Operation Sindoor, they have been the PIB fact check unit which has been working round the clock, and they have been putting out fact check points. And this is an appeal that they are making consistently to all the channels, that please don't fall and don't reflect that fake news. We understand that Pakistan is frustrated at this point of time, so they are going to be putting out these kind of news. They are not to be reflected or believed at all. So in that press conference, if you want to call it one, at 10 a.m, there are going to be representatives of the Army and the Air Force. We haven't been given further details on who else will be sitting there, but they are certainly going to give us all the minute details which the security concerns permit of Operation Sindoor, so as to put it on record how it was conducted, how there was no violations taking place, and how it was done in a very coordinated civil manner.
Sushant Sareen and Air Marshal Kapoor with us. So Air Marshal Kapoor, the other question is, which I was asking General Dua is not there. Zaka had mentioned that Operation Sindoor changes the perception, global perception of Bharat's military posture. Agree, disagree? Pre and post Operation Sindoor, will there be two different dynamics here? Because it's the first time we have done what we have done at such a scale.
Yes, after 1971, the next strike, the aerial strike which we took, which was at Balakot. Now that was just a singular target, which the next morning they took the media people and showed some shrubs, bushes have been damaged and some craters have been created, nothing much. I've been telling this in all the forums, is that they have an exceptional quality of weaving a story to their own masses and to their own public, and they are master in that. So even after Op Sindoor, the people there will fabricate some sort of a story as to nothing much has happened. There were actually not 9 targets, there were only 2-3 targets. We have put down so many things, and look at the ground, this fire which they are showing is not actual, only this damage has happened, this, and the gullible public will buy that. So that's my take.
Actually, the problem there with the Pakistani state is being centrally controlled.
Yes,
it's not really
the
democracy.
ISPR decides what has to be, what narrative.
People will only get what the official version is.
Yes.
Sushant Singh, yes, you were raising your hand.
Yeah, not that anybody listens to me, but my own advice to people in the government would be that if you're holding a briefing right now, say at 10 o'clock, maybe you should hold 2 briefings in a day while things are very hot. And please go beyond the normal anodyne kind of briefings that people generally give in government. Give a little more details. Don't try and hide many things. If there are some losses that we have incurred, fine. Frankly speaking, I don't give a damn if we have incurred any losses, because the losses are always part of this game. There is no loss-free or risk-free options, as I've often repeated. So please don't be sorry of that. Please be very transparent and give whatever information you can share, rather than just giving a very trite kind of information which really does not help much.
And so small questions.
You can do it through these briefings. But please make them a little more detailed, and please at this point in time at least have them twice a day.
But Sushant, if I can, you've been tracking and following Pakistan for a very, very long time. This is the first time outside of a war situation where Punjab has been hit, and Punjab is like the heartbeat, the very nerve center of not just the Pakistani establishment but specifically the Pakistani military establishment. If you were to go inside and gaze inside Asim Munir's thinking process right now after Punjab, multiple locations in Punjab have been hit. What is he thinking in terms of how to respond to this?
Look, I think from the Pakistani perspective, the fact that Punjab has been hit is something quite significant. Even actually come to think of it, Balakot being hit, because which is part of Pakistan proper, not part of Pakistan-Occupied Kashmir, was a significant message. But look, it's not just Bahawalpur which has been hit. You hit Muridke, which is like on the outskirts of Lahore, right?
Yep.
So the messaging is very strong. But the point is, the Pakistanis have already said that we are going to come back very strong. And I think we should take them at their word. Now, they, like I said earlier, they can say that, okay, fine, you came, we scrambled our guys and we launched certain counterattacks. And yes, that's our off-ramp. Will they take that as the off-ramp? Or will they, and they can, in their own way, they can declare their victory like they always do. And they've always claimed that even 1971 they had won, except for the cunning Hindu who, made them lose, etc., etc. So they can claim victory and say that we've shown the Indians, and fine. I think we've made our point. They think they have made their point, and this can be an off-ramp. Or he could scale down, thinking that maybe he can, do something much more to go down in history as somebody who's achieved something against India. But then, I think the serious question will be for the Indian defense planners, and I would imagine that they have gamed it, that they will then need to go up the escalation ladder and use certain other stuff which they haven't as yet used.
General Harimohan Iyer is with us. Sushant Sareen, even as we speak, we're going to check with our team to confirm this. The army is saying that some of the shelling that's coming along the LOC and in Punch, some artillery has landed right outside the doorstep of the UN field station there. So they are not even sparing the UN field offices. That's also coming under Pakistan artillery shelling. The other thing is that the Pak military commanders, local operational commanders have visited the hospital in Bahawalpur. What's interesting is what's being spoken and the ambient noise. We'll try and play that up in a bit, where they are saying something about India, but behind that they are saying Jaish Ayo, Jaish Ai. So this whole thing on confirmation of Jaish headquarters being really targeted and Jaish-e-Mohammed being hit is something that is being confirmed in the ambient sound in that video. Now this is again army sources which are claiming this, so we'll try and confirm that and then put it out accordingly. But General Harimohan Iyer, the escalation ramp, Pakistanis, will they strike? What are they expected to do? Because somewhere one gets the feeling that they may come back and do something drastic or attempt something drastic on Indian soil.
The first thing is we must understand that escalation will happen, because he has to sound his masses that he has also done something. But the larger question is, what is he going to escalate against? There are no terrorist camps for him to target. If he targets the military sites once again, he is going to escalate the entire thing a little further. The very fact that we have given out a very clear statement that this was in response of terror architecture inside Pakistan, and we do not want to escalate any further. This is a clear sign for him to say, don't try and escalate, and don't try and hit our military targets. Because the moment he starts engaging anything which is of value to India, the escalatory ladder is only going to go up, and he's going to get a second or third round of a larger dose, something which is way beyond what he got yesterday. So the next few days are going to be very interesting, because he has a masses to look at, and like Sushant keeps saying, these people are incorrigible lot of people. They don't tell the masses the right thing, what is happening on ground. They have to continue showing that they are a superior race, that the Fauj in Pakistan is absolutely the most professional Fauj in the world, and they'll try and play up some story saying that they have downed a couple of our aircrafts, they have hit some. I have already seen some kind of Pakistani noise coming out that they have destroyed a brigade headquarters and so on. It is not so easy to destroy an infantry.
That's a fake
brigade.
news.
Yeah.
That's a fake news. That's what I'm trying to say. They are trying to sound to their own masses that the army is, giving it back.
General, I'll just come back to you in 1 second. We have some exclusive information by way of our investigations editor Manoj Gupta. We're flashing that on our screens. The details of Operation Sindoor, the approximate distances from India, the considerations for the potential responses have all been accessed. The Jaish headquarters, of course, was struck, which is the seminary that they have.
Markaz Subhanallah.
Yeah,
Markaz Subhanallah, Bahawalpur. Approximate distance from the borders is about 90 kilometers, with nearest border in Punjab and Rajasthan with Bharat. Is the global headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed. Bahawalpur is in southern Punjab. Pakistan needs medium range missiles. Markaz Taiba, Murid ke Lashkar, that is 25 to 30 kilometers from the Atari border and is the headquarters of the Lashkar. Close proximity allows for artillery or short range missiles. Sarjal, Tehra Kalan is 20 kilometers from Pak Punjab and training hub for Jaish. Akash joining us with more details. So that requires precision strikes via drones or missiles. So clearly how these targets have been attacked or these targets have been neutralized. That is something which is now perhaps we have some details. What kind of weapon systems would have been used? Yes, Akash.
Anand, last time when Balakot happened, I remember that how, the jets of Indian Air Force went inside the Pakistani territory and dropped those bombs. Inside for up to 100 kilometers, in fact. This time around, while it is about the targets, yes, Manoj Gupta is reporting that how, there were targets that are 90 kilometer, away from the LC. And this is the time when, there comes the role of the loiter munitions. I have been, talking about Nagastra and all other weapons, and in fact the, indigenous weapons that we have, the loiter munitions we have. Now, which one was used, is something that we may get, in the press conference that is being addressed by Indian Army and Indian Air Force.
The
but
90
at this point in time, I'll also try to.
Yeah, the 90 kilometer distance is actually from
Anand,
the international border.
I'll try to show you the
Bahawalpur
visuals
to Rajasthan, Punjab. Yeah, go ahead please. Yes.
Yeah, there I am showing you the visuals. This is Srinagar Airport. Initially the claim was that, they have attacked the Indian Air Force base here in Srinagar. And, we have in fact been informed that all the schools in this vicinity have been closed because of security reasons. And I am showing you the visuals that in fact the airport has been closed. All flights, that were earlier scheduled from this particular airport have been cancelled. And in fact, there I am showing you the visuals. No one is allowed. This particular passage is not for common people. And in fact, I have been told that Indian Air Force is somewhere taking the charge here at this particular airport. This is of course because of security scenario and for the safety of the citizens here.
Right.
But then we have several sort of schools in this vicinity. Anand, this is the Kashmir Valley School, which has been in fact closed and it will remain shut throughout the day. And in fact, all the schools in the nearby vicinity have been, asked to remain shut.
Exams
and,
have also been
at this point in
postponed,
time, everyone is waiting for that press conference that Indian Army and Air Force, are going to address, because in that press conference we'll get to know some sort of details of the sort of attack that was carried out. And I'm not sure whether or not it will be, informed that which weapon was used, but definitely this press conference is going to be very, very important.
Right. Just to get some perspective, that Bahawalpur that has been targeted is about 90 kilometers from southern Punjab of Pakistan. It's located in southern Punjab in Pakistan, but about 90 kilometers from Rajasthan Punjab borders. Now, what kind of munitions would come in place? Short range missiles will come in. There will be the use of loitering munitions here. Markaz Ahle Hadith, Bimbar and Lashkar, that's the Lashkar head terror camp. This is in PoK. There is Markaz Abbas, that is in Kotli, that's about 10 to 15 kilometers from the LOC. Markaz Rahil Shahid is again about 10 to 15 kilometers from the LOC. The Shawai Nala camp in Muzaffarabad is 40 to 50 kilometers from the LOC. And Sayyidna Bilal camp is about 40 to 50 kilometers from the LOC. So we have the weapon systems, the arsenal to target all these locations deep inside Pakistan or in Pakistan-occupied territory very easily, about 50 to 100 kilometers from the border also, without crossing the borders. General Harimon Iyer, perhaps that is critical, even as we are waiting for that briefing that is scheduled at around 10 a.m. This is the critical aspect. We have not crossed the border this time around. We have not had to get into enemy airspace at all.
Yeah, that is the advantage of having a weapon system like the Rafale. We can have long range standoff attacks. Not that we don't have the other systems like the BrahMos and other long range vectors, but when you use those kind of long range vectors, the escalatory ladder goes up very fast. So it's very possible that there has been a mix of a large number of weapon systems that have been used. It is not necessary that only one weapon system is used on a particular target. It depends on the size, shape and the kind of target that is being put up. If it is going to be a large structure like the Murike headquarters or the Bahawalpur headquarters, I am sure a much larger sized missile would have been used, along with possibly even a loiter ammunition, which cannot be ruled out. Because the aim is to carry out as much damage as you can in a structure which is of that kind of a nature. As far as those camps which are across the line of control, they are possibly more semi-permanent kind of camps where the structures are not so strong. So possibly more loiters and other kind of vectors could have been used. So it is something must have been planned based on the target shape, size and posture.
Well, before I bring in Air Marshal, we also have a response coming in from Pahalgam victim Bharat Bhushan's father, Chinna Veerappa and Preetam Bharat, who are Bhushan's brother. Both have hailed Operation Sindoor.
People along the border, and they are controlling all the terrorists, and they fight the hideouts of the terrorists, and really they are bringing peace to people in India.
Sir, do you think this is some form of revenge for the unfortunate death of your son? Of course, no one can replace him, but do you feel there is some form of retribution, some form of revenge, some form of justice for your son's unfortunate demise?
Definitely a lot of justice is there, because the army people and air force people, they have done a lot of work, and they have attacked the 9 terrorist hideouts and they killed them. That's a good news for all the people of India, because hereafter there may not be any terrorists attacking Indian people.
So, Mr. Preetam, you also saw, unfortunately, you are the ones who also went to Kashmir, ensured that your family came back as safely as possible, and you saw the tragedy that took place there and the pain of many. Do you feel this is revenge for your brother's unfortunate tragedy, sir?
See, he's not going to come back. We have lost him. He's not there. I don't know. I don't want to call it revenge. I don't want to call it anything else. I think looking from a perspective saying, how do we stop this from happening? I think there is a need for us to give an answer to a certain terror outfits in a certain way. Probably that's exactly what the government is trying to do, because some of these terror outfits only learn from such kind of retaliation. There are some people who are peace lovers, they have been advised peace, that kind of an approach has been taken. There are some people where we need to change the mindset of people as well. I think that kind of approach has been taken. So I think it's different solutions for different category of people, which is exactly what government is adopting to. Hopefully this will bring peace to the nation as well as for the neighboring nations as well. I wouldn't get into the word of using the word revenge. Is that giving us peace? I don't think so. Let's see now how it goes. I'm worried that now that we have made an attack, I don't know how they will retaliate, and I don't know how that will further get escalated. The last thing anybody from any house would want to see is civilians being attacked or army personnel being attacked and people getting killed. We don't want to see those visuals, and we don't want to experience that at all, especially after losing our brother.
Nobody wants to experience this again, but is this a deterrent enough, or does more need to be done? Even as we understand the role that has been played by our forces, targeted and perhaps never before in a long time. Sushant Sareen, should we brace for impact, or should we, or are we already at the ready? The civilian commercial flights from Jodhpur upwards all the way up to Jammu and Leh have been temporarily halted. There is, as a precautionary measure, at least till afternoon, if not more, till further notice is what we are given to understand in Jammu Kashmir, Leh, Ladakh and further down towards Chandigarh. But what next? That's a question. And how much are we ready to escalate this matter? Or this time do you feel the intent is that if they up the ante, we will go up further? It's okay if it is a little long drawn.
I don't know what the government's calculations is. Like I said, they neither listen to me nor am I privy to what their confabulations are. But the fact of the matter is that I think we'll wait and see. In the next maybe couple of days, it will become very clear whether the Pakistanis are going to actually, escalate. Then we go up the escalation ladder and target, because Pakistan is a very target-rich country in terms of targets. So we can always go up the escalation ladder on that count. And in case they are going to be attacking our defense forces establishments, then there are even more targets available to us. So we'll wait and see how that works out and how that turns out. And then, of course, we don't know whether after we do something like that, there are a couple of rounds of exchanges, things calm down, or they further escalate into a full-fledged conflagration. I would imagine that neither India nor Pakistan would really want to go down that road, but then wars very often happen out of miscalculation and also by accident.
But there are many who believe.
One interesting thing is when Abhinandan happened, I think Abhinandan became, that whole episode became the off-ramp, right? Right now, I don't know what the off-ramp is. Two, the players at that time and the players currently are very, very different by nature, by their politics. For example, for whatever it was worth, in early 2019, Imran Khan, at the height of his popularity, had just sort of come to power, was seen as a politician who had some kind of heft. Certainly, Shahbaz Sharif, no one in Pakistan right now considers him as a politician who has any kind of heft. So he had some degree of heft in 2019, in February of 2019. Also, the army chief at that time was General Bajwa. He was a very different, person compared to the current army chief, which is Asim Munir. They're cut of two different cloths altogether.
Asim Munir is more referred to as
the nature of the
Munir
response from all of these factors. I wish we can get General Iyer and Sushant also to weigh in on this. One, what's the off-ramp here for Pakistan? Two, the characters involved right now compared to the characters involved in 2019. The nature of response will be different because of the characters who are involved.
See, we are talking about an off-ramp for Pakistan. There is another way to look at it, is that there are many here who believe that we don't give, when I say we, India as a government and the Indian armed forces don't give the messaging strong enough to make it a deterrent for the Pakistanis to turn back and come back. So the messaging is, unless there is acreage that shaved off the Pakistanis, there is something hard which hits them, which they lose. They are not going to learn. This will be nothing but a pinch or a kick on the backside, and then they'll come back and do the same thing again via proxy. General Saab, your thoughts?
Yeah. We should also look at the political structure which is there in Pakistan today. Like Rahul brought out, 4 years back or 5 years back.
Zaka was it? Yeah.
Zaka. The political structure was totally different. You had a elected government in place. You had the army chief who was on an extension, and possibly a little more reasonable person than the one which is here today. Today, as people put it, in fact, I was hearing somewhere in the American news setup that they are looking at him as a dictator controlling entire Pakistan. The political structure is just a front face, and everybody knows who's calling the shots in Pakistan. So we are dealing with two different level of things as to what happened in 2019 and what is going to happen this time. The other issue is, if they don't respond and if they don't go down quietly down this lane, the whole whole issue of the Fauj being the savior of Pakistan gets a beating.
Yeah.
So that is something we need to factor in, and I believe that they will possibly go down the suicide lane a little bit, assuming that there could be, their benefactors who are around the world who will come and save them and try and extricate them.
If they do that, then is Bharat willing to go and then exact pounds acreage from the Pakistanis to further defang the army, because there are many within Pakistan who want their army and their military establishment defanged?
Personally, if you ask me, if the situation escalates to a level that we have a capability to finish this operation completely, I am sure the current government has the resolve to take it the full distance and ensure that the complete Pak army gets discredited. And this is something which I have been speaking right across the time when this crisis has started. By and large, the Pakistani army needs to be, brought to books, and it has to be a system that has to be changed in Pakistan. Otherwise, small little doses like this, they will come back again after 5 years.
And if there is escalation, does Pakistan face multiple fronts? Is there more that will happen with the Baloch? Is there more that could happen with the Taliban on the other side? Could there more that could happen with the Pashtuns?
Yes. Now, the Pakistan Armed Forces, Army especially, which has been deployed for internal security, large number of them have already been pulled out and brought to their eastern borders. But now with this strike, the remaining also would be asked to augment. So this will probably give an opening to the locals there to venture out. And that must be in the mind of their leadership, how much to leave behind and how much to pull. Second is that the international pressure would now start to mount on the establishments, both the establishments, our and theirs, to contain it to the level which it has gone. Now this would have been factored into the initial planning. If we want to go up the escalation ladder, the options for us is to strike at the places and open those fronts where they are weak.
Right.
What Pakistanis have basically done is they each and every inch of their Punjab is with canals which they call ditch cum bun, so that these are natural irrigation canals which act as a barrier for our movement of armor, tanks and BMPs. Also,